It's the World Series of Sim Racing here on Freaky Fast Broadcasting.
Oh, contact!
And some contact holds on for now as Vincent Soracali's gonna be able to hold on. 3 wide, 2 wide. Ryan Bird trying to be the hero. He'll door smack once again in the center of the corner. Figure out how to get out of the way. Vinny wrecks him! He wrecks him across the line! The 15 wins! One last chance, one last opportunity. He's digging, he's climbing, he's right on the bumper. Blocking gonna be made. Will there be contact? Here comes Thompson. Check on the outside. We're gonna be blocked, defended. Brian Johnson, O'Brien will win. Here comes Vincent Soar to the inside, but it's not enough. Brian Johnson wins, and it's gonna be the 13th trying his best. He'll hold on, or will he cross the line? It's Cedric Hunter by a nose. Welcome, ladies and gentlemen, to Freaky Fast Broadcasting on your Wednesday night. Tonight, we give you the coverage of the WSSR Cup Series Season 9, race number 10. We've had an incredible season so far. For the way that these drivers have been racing, we have our third driver to grab his second win this season with Zach Hall last week at Indianapolis with an incredible finish that you might want to have to go back for and watch. Cannot wait to give you all the great coverage here tonight. It's going to be a fun one. Don't want to miss out on it. As tonight's race, drivers get to tackle a 1.5 mile distance course as they head to Chicagoland. Tonight, the drivers get to tackle the incredible ISRC 150. I want to say shout out to ISRC Truck Series that are going to be having their Season 7 start coming up this Monday, August 5th. Don't want to miss out. Daytona will be the start of their race as WSSR will be sponsoring their start of the season, and the ISRC Truck Series sponsoring tonight. Love to see that partnership with all the drivers coming together. We do want to let you know, and we had a little bit of a buffer at the start of our broadcast preparing for this. If you feel or you see any skipping going on, we're hoping that those issues will get cleaned up as the race progresses. But for tonight, we're excited to give you the action. For myself, Sam Dyer, I've got Justin Malarkey with me as always. Justin, coming off of last week at Indy, it was a great race. Sane redemption for Zach Hall, getting his second win this season. But tonight, been hearing drivers, this might be a different type of a tough task that they have here at Chicagoland.
Chicagoland, it will be a different type of task versus Indianapolis that seemed to maybe have 1.5 lanes. Tonight, we're hoping to see these drivers be able to run side by side throughout this race. I think it's going to be pretty exciting, Sam. I think we're going to have a lot of talking points tonight. One of the things I was noticing right here in practice, as you see under 30 seconds ago, just drivers who are on the bottom trying to pass some driver up top. If they come out of that corner and slide up in front of them, they better make sure they're clear. Do not want to risk getting clipped and getting turned on into the wall because it could ruin both drivers' nights really quick.
Absolutely don't want to be making any of those mistakes between yourselves as the field is getting prepared. Running down are the practice times. Currently, your fastest driver is the 46 of Trenton Jump. He has been fast, he's been quick, and we cannot wait for the amazing racing action as practice is coming to a conclusion. We get prepared for qualifying. Drivers will have 2 laps to put down their fastest time and 5 minutes to do so. In qualifying, based off the trends that we've been hearing on this racetrack and the way that the cars have been reacting, being up front could be an important track position. Justin, there's some 1.5 mile tracks where track position matters. Seems like tonight could be one of those tracks.
I would always say track position matters. I can never qualify, and I always say if I only had track position to start with, maybe, maybe, maybe. I have to agree with you though. But hey, last week we thought track position definitely mattered, and then there was the driver who started out in the back, who drove to the front and put on a really fabulous show. Maybe it was a good thing he started out back, keeping it from dominating, because Zach Hall was on fire last week. This week, though, I'm hoping that drivers will be able to utilize that top groove and be able to make passes if they don't have qualifying. But speaking of qualifying, Sam, drivers are rolling out right now. We are going to be watching them right now, getting these good laps in, trying to, like you said, get up there in that front couple rows.
Currently this season, we've had a total of 5 different pole sitters. We've had Gavin Rogers, 4 poles for himself. Larry Yingling with 2. Edward Sherwood Jr. finding himself with 1 pole. Zach Hull has 1 pole. And Chris Stitz as well, having 1 pole. One driver that hopes to join the pole sitter club was Trenton Jump in that 46 machine. Other drivers that are hoping to continue on with great momentum. Ken Campbell finally having a decent run. His first top 5 of the season coming off the back of last week's finish at Indianapolis. He wants a good finish as well, and other drivers to watch out for. GT Rizari, he looked surprisingly quick during practice. He was inside the top 10, the 14. He might have one of his best runs of the season, and this is a perfect time to do so, Justin, as we're inching closer and closer to the end of the regular season.
Oh, he definitely could. Last week at Indy, he got caught up in that accident a little early on, and I personally thought he had a lot of damage that maybe wasn't going to continue, but then at some points we saw him back up there fighting for some good finishes, so you never know. Tonight could be his night. He's definitely a driver that could get it done. As you see right here, he's going to be going across the line, but Trenton Jump going to stay on top of the board, but as we say that, Carl Pooler is going to jump ahead of him at a 30.853.
Again, I want to say we are sorry for any type of buffering that might be going on. We are hoping that it will get cleaned up. It is just a weird issue that's going back and forth. So we're hoping that it will get fixed at some point here this evening. We know we've been having early issues, but we do know and are notified on any buffering at this time. As top of the board is Nick Crawford, stealing the top spot from Drew Jewett. But as I say that, Edward Sherwood Jr. to the top of the board for the 71. As other drivers finding the top spot, the 9 machine, a Shane Tarian, he finds the top position. Chris Stitz just falling shy. He'll be second on the board. And Justin, it's moving quick on who's on that top spot.
Well, it is switching really quick there. Have to give good kudos to the 17 there, Chris Stitz in second position. Last week had a great qualifying effort at Indy and was running strong for some part of the race too. And right now looks like he got that second lap in, so not sure if he's going to be able to improve. But Shane Tarian, like you said, right there, 30.680. As we say that, Ryan Kelly's going to jump to the board. Look at that, tied lap times down to the 680 tied.
Yeah, it is on my timing sheet. It's off of what it's slightly different from what we're seeing. It is 1/1000th of a second difference between Ryan Kelly and Shane Tarian. It's a close marker, but Ryan Kelly trying to go back-to-back on grabbing the pole sitting position. Last time we ran here was back in season 7. That was Ryan Kelly's debut season, and that rookie season found a lot of speed, was in the pole position quite a few times that season. And he was here at Chicagoland, the last driver to be the pole. He also led the most laps. The 3's hoping for more of that true speed. As talking about true speed, it's the 06 of Tom Bourne. He's open for a good push for himself. He's had a couple of good, decent runs recently on being up front. It's the finishes that have been struggling for Tom Bourne recently.
Definitely hoping that he could get those finishes tonight, because you're going to find out a little bit later on when we do the pick'ems that I decided to roll with him. So I'm hoping that he has that turned around tonight. I saw some speed out of him a couple weeks ago that caught my eye. I'm thinking tonight might be the night, but right now we are watching the 16 of Joshua Kanata. He's got to beat that 30.680 to get that pole position from Ryan Kelly. As you can see, exits the corner, trying to carry all that momentum down his back straightaway, Sam, which we'll have to note on it. It is really not straight, that back straightaway, so you got to be mindful you don't slide up into that wall thinking you have a chance to rest when you really don't.
Yeah, that slight curving can influence drivers of driving side by side close to that outside wall. We'll see if it influences anyone here tonight. Joshua Kanata, though, was 20th on the board after his first lap. Second lap gains 4 positions, up to 16th position for the 16 machine. Congratulations to Joshua Kanata. One driver, though, kind of shocking on how slow he was. Cody Reed falling off shy. He'll be 32nd on the board. Driver that's looking for experience, it's Justin Forbes as he crosses the line. Qualifying finishes. And for the 4 of Justin Forbes, he'll be all the way down in 36th position. But practice is done. Qualifying just cleaned up as well. We now enter into our warm-up session where these drivers will have 5 minutes to get any last little bits of practice for themselves at the Chicagoland course before we get prepared for 150 laps here tonight. And as we've got 5 minutes to kind of just talk about how this season's been going. We have been closing in every single race to the end of this regular season. As we take a look at our point standings, it is getting close and hot and heavy on who's going to be inside of our top 16 and drivers to take note and watch out for, because counting tonight, we only have 3 races left, and drivers that are at the cutoff line, Drew Jua, who looked to be quick for that Lucky Duck machine, but it looks to be falling a little bit off. He's got some competition behind him that are hoping for some good runs. You've got Andrew Medlin in 17th, Cody Reed 18th, 19th Matt Meir, Nick Crawford's in 20th, but it's the driver in 21st coming off of his 2-race suspension. Douglas Newbigging, he's back. I'm curious on what Douglas is going to have to do for these final 3 races to get back into the top 16 where he was at before these 2-race suspensions.
Equally curious here. I would say he's got to go out and just run top 5 and get those points, get back into that top 16. He definitely has speed to do it. Also, he can get the win. We know he's a driver that can run up front. We think back to Michigan, was a very fast driver there. But tonight, I don't think he got that qualifying effort in that he was hoping for. But I've seen him do that before, and then he ends up driving up to the front. We saw it last year. I remember at Las Vegas where he started out back, and that race went caution-free, and he ended up in the top 3, and we talked to him. So would not be surprised tonight if we saw him running very well. Might not have the short run speed, but this race could turn into a long run type race, and he could be a driver to watch out for.
It certainly can. As we move from our point standings over to the way that this season's been running in the schedule, there are only, counting tonight, 3 races left, and tonight's the last mile and a half of the regular season. Then next week, we go to a track that some of these drivers, majority of them, have not ran. Now, the WSSR has ran here once. They're heading to Le Mans, the circuit to like 24 hours, to get to see how these drivers can handle some road course racing for 15 laps. That is going to be a short race when you look on paper, but on course, it's going to be a long one next week. And then the week after, to finish out the regular season, we head to Bristol to see who makes the top 16 and races for a championship.
Well, Bristol will be fun, but before that, like you said, we have to go to Le Mans. I was looking up some lap times on there because I was curious. I saw it was 15 laps, but they're over 3 minutes. They could be close to 4 minutes almost. So that would be a long race where drivers really need to make sure they do not make any mistakes at that track, because just getting back to pit road could be a very challenging problem.
It certainly can be, as then we head into our playoffs. It's going to be 6-race playoff system with elimination races after each 2 races, and we get down to our final few that will race for a championship. It's going to be a fun season to crown a potential new champion and a first driver to get a trophy. If you are looking to get yourself a trophy, as fantasy football season's right around the corner, go head over to Trophy Smack today to go get your trophy. Remember to use promo code WSSR Smack for 10% off. We'll talk more about Trophy Smack later on in the race, but we first have our pick'ems. Who do we feel like are drivers to watch out for? Could be favorites to win, or just drivers are looking for the best runs of the season. Well, let's take a look. We'll start off with my pick. I'm going to be going with maybe a little bit of a dark horse pick. He's been quick here in the past, hoping to find some good speed here this evening. I'm going to be picking the 28 machine of Brian P. Johnson from Nightmare Fuel. That team has been having some ups and downs all around, but Brian had a solid run last week at Indianapolis. Just feels like a win is right around the corner for the 28 machine. We'll see if we can find that win here tonight. But Justin, seems like you've already kind of given us a preview of your pick, but why are you picking the 06 of Tom Bourne?
I know. I was too excited before when we were talking about him, but I, as you see the 74 get a little loose there in that warm-up. I thought I saw something at Dover a couple weeks ago that caught my eye. I felt like he was really, really aggressive. on the short runs at Dover and was making up positions. He didn't get the cautions to go in there and get the tires, but maybe tonight, maybe it'll fall that way where that ultra aggressive short run speed can pay off, because I'm hoping that this would be a track that allows you to pass and make those moves to drive to the front, and then maybe gets that caution, gets those new tires, and is able to get himself a nice lead and take it home.
And as well, we have ourselves our producer of tonight, Robert Moyer Jr., and he's going to be picking another Sky Motorsports driver, Shane Tarian. And Shane has looked quick also. He's still searching for that win this season. He's felt like there's been multiple races that he's just has fallen through the cracks of a chance to get into victory lane. I think that's a very solid pick from our producer, again, of Robert Moyer Jr., as those are our pick'ems, our 3 drivers to watch out for: Brian P. Johnson, Tom Bourne, and Shane Tarian, our pit 3 picks. Who are you picking? If you're out in chat and have the ability, is there a driver that you think might be one to watch out for a win, or just for us to watch out? We'd love to see who your favorite driver is down in the chat. But for us up in the booth, we got ourselves done with practice. We're done with qualifying. The warm-up is concluded. It means it is race time for Chicagoland. And to start things off, we got to take a look at our starting grid here this evening. Taking the pole here tonight, it's the 3 machine of Ryan Kelly, going to be joining the club of drivers getting their first pole this season. He's been quick here in the past. He's hoping to continue on. Second place is going to be our pick for our producer, Robert Moyer Jr. It's the 9, Shane Tarian. Third, it's the 17 of Chris Stitz. Bronson Stafford from Sky Motorsports will be starting in 4th. 5th is Edward Sherwood Jr. 6th is Nick Crawford. 7th, we find my pick going to be Brian P. Johnson. In 7th, 8th is Christopher Norris qualifying there, but he was given a penalty after running into a driver during last week's race. He will start with an L1 penalty. He'll head to the back. Drew Jua will start 9th, and Andrew Medlin just outside of our top 16 in points. He'll start in 10th position.
Our next row going to be the 70 machine of Aaron Smith II, followed by Gavin Rogers, who we often see up on the pole, but tonight going to be rolling off in P12. John Forbes Jr. in 13th position. 14th going to be Ollie Fonseca. Zach Hall, last week's winner, starting 15th. Joshua Kanata, who we were watching qualifying before, going to roll off 16th. Cedric Hunter in 17th position, and Vincent Sora in 18th position. Rolling off in 19th going to be Trenton Jump, who was really fast in practice, and then Tom Bourne in 20th position.
And not bad spots for those drivers. We know they can work in the draft, and we'll see how well they can carve their way through this field. Starting in 22nd position, we're going to be seeing GT Rizari, as well as going to be in 21st of Tom Sinchek. In 23rd, it's Carl Pooler in the 58 with Ryan Ferraro. Starting in 25th, coming off his 2-race suspension, looking for a recovery run. It's going to be the 7 of Douglas Newbigging. 26th, it's the 2 of Danny Cochran. In 27th, it's Ken Campbell in the 15. 28th, Tyler Dingler finds himself. And then down in 29th, it's Anthony Gaudio. And finishing out our top 30, it's going to be the 67 of Larry Yingling.
Going to be 31st, going to be the 56 machine, Richard Wolfesser, and 32nd, Cody Reed. Matthew Rodriguez in 33rd, Dakota Moniz in 34th, Mike Tellier in 35th position, Justin Forbes in 36th, Ben Keeney in 37th, and Brian McCann, who did not get a qualifying lap in, going to be rolling off in T38th position.
Going to the end of the line, going to be, again, I talked about it, it's going to be Christopher Norris. Also, end of the line, Tyler Dangler. So those are going to be the 2 drivers that are going to have to march their way forward here this evening. But starting off, gonna see how this race could be ebbing and flowing. Up front, Ryan Kelly, last time we ran here, he led 104 laps of 150, but did not get the win. The win actually went to Brian Johnson. We'll see if maybe we see a little bit of deja vu from just 2 seasons ago. But tonight, it's Charlotte, 150 laps, stage break at the end of lap 35. No fast repairs, 4 extra sets of tires in pit road. And the fuel window looking to be around 62 to 68 laps. So this fuel stint going to be important after the stage, but we'll see if they can keep it clean, as track positions we talked about be very important. We'll see if there's any aggressive dive bomb moves here early on, or do we take it nice and comfortable at the beginning as green flag is out. And up front, it's Ryan Kelly, Shane Tarian making their way down into turn number 1 for the incredible ISRC 150.
ISRC 150 lap 1 underway. You see these drivers right now able to run 2x2 the first 3-wide battle back there in about mid-pack. Drivers right now, though, they got to make sure they take care of this car. don't want to get any damage on it. It is a 1.5 miles. You do not want to have any damage lingering, slowing it down. But Ryan Kelly's going to take that lead. And then the number 9 machine, Shane Therian, going to be right behind him, trying to run him down.
Trying to run him down, and they're going to be starting immediately, going 3 wide, battling for 4th place. Stuck in the middle, going to be Nick Crawford, Chris Stinson, Edward Sherwood Jr. trying to solidify on which position they want to be. And the 71 drifting up just slightly, but already caution in the back. Trouble strikes for Carl Pooler in the 58 machine. And a couple of other drivers trying to whoa up, but it looks to be Carl Pooler only first driver to be spun around. He might have gotten just a little bit of help on this incident.
Yeah, you see the caution lights right there flashing. We are going to be under yellow. Ryan Kelly going to slow it down. Have to get another good restart there and try and get that lead, but we'll see right here at the replay. Checking out the Carl Pooler is going to maybe...
It's going to be going down into turn number 1 here. We're going to see the field closing in a little bit. It looks like a accordion effect as they're getting checked up, and Thompson check moves up, and 58 taps, and it unsettles Carl Pooler. Anthony Gaudio also dropping down, looks like, for the 29.
You know, Sam,
a few others.
I'm thinking maybe the 7 of Douglas Newbegin might have gotten into Senchak there. That's what I'm thinking. I don't know if we can get a view at that. I think the 7 may have got into him going in the corner, and I kind of got him going up the track.
Oh, and there's the aftermath of drivers. Ben Keeney going to be involved in that one. A few others. And yeah, I think you might be right about that incident of Douglas Newbegin just maybe diving it a little bit low. As we're going to take another look at this. Watch the 7 as he's going to dive it down into turn number 1. We'll see if there's any contact here between the 7 trying to aggressively move up again, not where he wanted to start. See if there's any contact, dives it down low, and just small bump shifts him up. And yeah, I think that was the movement that forced Senchak right into Carl Pooler.
Yeah, ultra aggressive move right there for the 2nd lap of the race. I mean, it worked out for the 7. He didn't get any damage, but those other guys around him might not be the most biggest fans right now of the number 7 machine. But we said he could be fast. He drove it in that corner, and he was fast.
Yeah, he certainly did drive it in there, and unfortunately, with that aggressive move, it collects multiple drivers. Carl Pooler required damage. He blew his engine on that kind of whiplash in the outside wall. Also, Anthony Gaudio with the aftermath collisions with other drivers. He's also has required damage and is forced into pit road. Dakota Moniz, he was collected with a little bit of damage. He still sits in pit road getting damage repair, and talked about how important track position is. There was the picture of drivers needing to make big moves immediately, and maybe over aggressiveness showing here early on, but man, you have to make those big moves though if you want to take this track position.
It was definitely easiest to make the moves on the fresh tires when you got the grip in the beginning, but you also got to be mindful of not wanting to damage the car. So these drivers will be rethinking what they're going to be doing now in this restart coming up. Looks like we still have another lap before we'll see the lights turn off on the safety car. But this restart, we'll be talking about it. We saw drivers getting down on that apron. We didn't really get to cover it too much, but I think we'll talk about it right now while things are slow here, Sam. Drivers will be going below that apron all day today, trying to cut the course. And down there it could be flat, but the transition on older tires could maybe get these cars a little upset. Drivers could get a little loose, might have to lift, just being cautious around other people. But is that kind of that gamble? Do you want to go below that line and risk bottoming the car out, or do you want to stay above it, but it might be a little bit of longer distance?
Who's willing to make some different moves if possible, as drivers that officially went into pit road under this first caution going to be seeing Christopher Norris topping off on fuel. Also, Aaron Smith II coming into pit road to get some slight damage repair done for himself. Ben Keeney getting slight service done. Anthony Gaudio still sits in pit road. Dakota Moniz making his 2nd pit stop to get repairs done. And Carl Pooler's night could be officially done after the contact being made. Up front, your top 5 going to be Ryan Kelly, Shane Therian, Bronson Stafford, Nick Crawford, and Edward Sherwood Jr. And seeing big moves. Already was thinking about 3 wide. I got to say, it's exciting to see the fact that they are able to be side by side, trying to make these big moves. This was what always makes these 1.5 miles, especially Chicagoland, a fun racetrack to watch. And Justin, I know as this race progresses, we're going to be seeing the sun setting, getting a little bit more extra grip on the track. We might see some more drivers willing to use that outside lane maybe a little bit more.
Oh, definitely. I'm anticipating some drivers will be up there flirting right against that wall. I mean, as the track cools off, it will change the grip. Will drivers be searching around? I think definitely as these tires wear out, you'll see drivers just go in a corner and they might miss getting to the bottom, and they're going to kind of be forced to run that middle lane or higher lane. You might not see it so much on their brand new tires in the beginning, but as the fuel burns off and the car changes, they'll be looking for that grip, especially if they feel like they're tight or loose. They're going to be trying to search around all night tonight, and we're going to be going back to racing here really soon, so we will see if anyone ventures up to that outside groove.
Getting ready for this restart. Ryan Kelly going to be the control vehicle on the inside. He will be surrounded by Sky Motorsports drivers with Shane Terrian and Bronson Stafford as the 61 and the 9 get ready for this restart. Had a first caution just in our second lap of the race. We'll see how well they can keep it together here on the first restart of the night. As we enter the restart zone, we are green for the incredible ISRC 150 here this evening. A little bit of a blink out for the 3 machine, but he gets a fabulous launch that allows him to pull away, as now going to be already 2/10 ahead of the rest of the field.
There's nothing like getting a good restart and getting out, getting that clean air, not having to run side by side through the corners. As you see right here, this first battle we have was really for 61, getting around the 9. Going to take Bronson Stafford into second position, and Nick Crawford's going to go to that higher line, try to see if he can get a run. Coming out of this corner, he might get a good run down the straightaway, but doesn't look like it's going to happen at this moment right now, as the 17 machine is going to be falling on behind those guys right there in 5th position, and Ed Shearer Jr. going to be in 6th, trying to make his moves forward. As you see this first real battle on screen, the 12 machine, Andrew Medlin having a nice run up there in 7th position.
Yeah, battling back here in 8th on that for the 12 machine, and this is where kind of the danger lies of drivers that are side by side. The hornet's nest, you could call it, in the middle of the pack, where a lot of these drivers, their speeds are so close to one another that it's all in the draft. How well are you willing to use up your tires early on in this race? We're seeing 3 wide already being used. Tom Moore, the only one willing to use that outside wall, as the 06 try to get to the outside groove of the 11 of John Forbes and just gets closed off. But everyone slicing and dicing to find an opening to move forward. As you see the 77 of Drew Jua, he's coming off of a race that had him up front majority of the time at Indianapolis, caught up in some late wrecks that kind of threw away a great finish. 77, redemption is the call that he wants to have as he's racing side by side with our Indianapolis winner.
He is racing side by side right there with that Indianapolis winner, who has himself a lot better qualifying position than what he had to deal with last week. Is look how close they are coming out of the corner. Joshua Kanata right up there against the wall. He had Ali Fonseca on his inside. They were racing hard. We're going to be on board right here with Joshua Kanata. He's going to run maybe that 3rd to 4th lane. Going to try and get down there in the 2nd lane now, coming out of the corner, a little diamond style. And you just see right here on board with these drivers, right there, they got the wheel nice and straight, going on this somewhat slightly straight front straightaway. And then getting into this corner, that's where you're going to really see who's driving nice. Right now, these cars are driving good on these new tires. Not seeing too much wiggle on that wheel stand, but we're expecting to see a little bit more, maybe 10, 15 laps from now.
Yeah, we're expecting maybe a little bit of wiggle, but I heard a lot of drivers also talk about the tightness, especially when I was talking with Joshua Kanata. He was giving his thoughts on the fuel window, how the car was feeling entering tonight, and he said this thing is tight, it plows, it does not want to turn on the entry of the corner. And we'll see if anything changes, or maybe it's going to enable some drivers to change how they want to race here tonight. As the fastest lap so far goes to Shane Terrian, who runs 2nd, as himself and his teammate Bronson Stafford are just pulling away from the rest of the field. It's Sky Motorsports dominating here early on after getting by Ryan Kelly, but also seeing the sunset. If these drivers have the sun on, because you have the ability to turn that off or not, they are right on top of one another.
They are for sure. And like you mentioned, Ryan Kelly got back to 4th position. So I know right now we're on board with Cedric Hunter, but just wanted to make a note of that. The leader, the pole sitter, we know he's a driver that, wow, look how close they are. Sam, that just had to catch my eye. The 32, Zach Hall, they are right on top of one another in the corner. You can hear them. And that's just some great footage right there. And they're actually going to be 3 wide now, and that's one of the problems. Maybe the 32 got a little tight coming out of the corner, lifted, and then it kind of gets the people behind you underneath you. Before you know it, you're in another battle.
Trying to slice and find an opening is kind of the movement at this moment. As are you willing to force it 3 wide? You stay in line and trust where you're at. And if you want to move forward, you're gonna have to force it 3 wide at some point. As Ryan Kelly, our pole sitter, drops back to 4th place, and this could be a strategy call decide to set himself in a position to maybe just save his tires. He's gifted the lead to Bronson Stafford and Shane Terrian that have built up almost a second gap over second back to third. And these drivers utilizing the draft, bump drafting with one another, and just trying to pull away and not even give a chance to the rest of the field to catch them once we get in this longer run. And the reason why, stage. Our stage is going to roll up very quickly here. It's at the end of lap 35 that our stage break will be. Top 10 drivers get those bonus points, and Bronson Stafford, one of those drivers outside of the top 16 in points. He needs every point possible to get back in the fight and try to point his way into this race.
No better way to do it than to get that win. You mentioned the stage being at lap 35, so it makes you think that these drivers, how much tire will they really want to save? Could they maybe use all 35 of them to run hard? But we know Ryan Kelly is one of those drivers that is always really good at saving tires. So as much as I wanted to worry about him dropping back, I don't think it'll be a problem. But I just am curious, will he be able to get back to the front by lap 35? As you say that, he's making a move around Nick Crawford right now. He's going to get that position. But will he be able to run these guys down?
That is going to be the truest thing. And also, when we start seeing these drivers move forward, he's going to pull this whole pack along. Really, once we see third and fourth decide to make that decision of it's go time, as they're still running at about a tenth or two slower than our leaders. But drivers that are in the middle of the pack that have been making some big moves. Currently, your biggest mover is Cody Reed in the 25, as he is making the charge on the outside lane for himself. Cody is just in that blue and black. Has been charging forward up 17 positions from where he started, and then also behind him in the 01, that's Matthew Rodriguez you see on screen in the Love Bugs machine. He's up 16 positions. Both of these vehicles really have done a great job using that third lane to make the charge forward.
It is. You see people who've been up there have been making the passes. Now, the problem will be, are they going to pay the price? I mean, we might not see it here in the first 35 because we got that stage, competition stage caution coming out. So they'll be able to go in and get those new tires. But look at this three-wide battle. Ooh, 16 going to slide right up there. Was able to pull in front, but that's the risky parts we were talking about at the top of the show tonight. You pull up in front of someone, you got to make sure you're clear.
You really do need to make sure you're clear. And how much is this willing to deal with the risk to reward, as Douglas Newbigging coming off of his suspensions again from Daytona had too many incident points, also too many racing incidences throughout the season, forced him to miss 2 races, and he is now back out on track. He is outside of the top 16 in points, which that's where he was at. He was 14th in points before the suspension, and the 7's got a lot of work to march forward with, and also starting so far back, he needs help for himself to make this charge work. And racing around, having Lucky Ducks and Vincent Sora around one another. We heard under the interview last week at Indy that 51 is not a fan of anyone on Lucky Ducks, and you got to keep an eye on both of these drivers.
Definitely something to keep an eye out tonight. A little more. Ooh, another move right there. I just see the 14. It looked like GT pulling right up there. That makes me skip. My heart skipped a beat there, Sam. I see those drivers pull up, and I'm like, are they clear? So hard to tell sometimes at those angles. But that's what this track does, puts on that great racing. You really got to make the moves here because you don't want to get trapped down there on the inside if you're not liking it. And they try and slide up high to maybe get a better angle in the corner. But right here, 51 going to try and dive to the bottom and get another pass complete. But is he going to carry that momentum off? That's the hard part.
Able to get by Ryan Ferraro even with the small little movements between one another. You're seeing the drivers that are notoriously known for being inside of the top 15, the top 10, slowly making their way forward. But it's taking a lot of effort out of their, kind of taking the wind out of their sails at times, with all the work and wear and tear they put on their tires, while drivers up front single filing out. We see John Forbes, Edward Sherwood Jr., Drew Jua, I think for the 71 and the 77. Those are drivers I've got circled up. Watch out on how they move through this field. If we stay green, and especially when we're in the next 5 laps, how aggressive are we going to be seeing these drivers willing to make some big moves, try to move forward, or are they stalling out? Again, with the way that this track's been talked to, I've been told it's tough to make passes after 5 laps into a run.
Yeah, well, I'm glad that drivers are being able to utilize the outside grooves right now. I was hoping that there wouldn't be a single file parade here of everyone being at the bottom. It's nice to see some guys be able to get off that line, but how long will that happen? Like we said, the sun will be going down. We see, it looks like it is the 06 of Tom Gordon up there. He's running that outside line consistently, it seems, since the drop of the green flag. Anytime I feel like we've seen him on screen, he's been up there closer to the wall. Andrew Medlin running up there too. John Forbes Jr. with the 77. He's going to try and get a pass here on the bottom. And there you see, slides up in front of the 11, but the 11 got that run down the inside. Will he be able to get the position back?
Drivers that are inside the top 16 in the cutoff line. Drew Jua 16th in points, 17th in points is Andrew Medlin as they run side by side off the exit of turn 4, and the 77 of Drew Jua, he's been given the green light. He is marching his way forward, finally gets inside of the top 10, and he is on the charge to try to gain all these positions back that he's seen other drivers maybe too early on in the run use up those tires. Now Cedric Hunter trying to follow in suit as well, and Trenton Jump, who's been our biggest mover so far, he now is going to be tied with the 01 and Matthew Rodriguez, who's having one of his best runs this season. This is not a Matthew Rodriguez we've seen at all. It's been bad luck after bad luck, and right now having a great run for this Love Bug machine.
Really is. Got a nice paint scheme, and more importantly, got a really nice run going on. He's up there, one of those drivers using the higher line. Going to be able to hold the 46 off. It looks like that. Looks like this through the corner, but the 16 is going to get a big run. Is he going to? Maybe, oh, he does back off a little bit. I was wondering if he was going to give a little more of a push to the 01. But wow, you can just see this group, they're so close to one another, Sam. I mean, the 16 checked up a little bit there. Now the 14 of GT Irizarry's going to jump to his outside, and luckily the 16 was able to keep it down off of there. Right there, you saw that getting really close.
Very close, as well as other battles in front of them are getting hectic. Cedric Hunter has now moved up to 10th place, but also the battle for the lead might be ramping up here very shortly. The gap between second and third was over a second. Well, now it's just the car length to 2 car lengths of difference. Bronson Stafford, Shane Tarian, did they build up too much of a gap? It's now 9 seconds, the difference. I mean, it's 9 laps, excuse me, was coming down to who was going to be at the end of this race, and now seeing everyone trying to take these positions away up front as each lap ticks away. Stage is at the end of lap 35, and Chris Stitz, Nick Crawford, and Ryan Kelly, they're now trying to figure out who's going to slot to tackle and fight against Sky Motorsports in our front 2.
That pack has gained on the front 2, like you said, and wasn't it 10 laps ago, Sam, we were talking about should we be concerned about the leader of Ryan Kelly dropping back to 4th position? It was 1.4 seconds. He's got it down to 3/10 now, and he's all over 2nd place. I mean, he just has it figured out. He knew when to push it, and that's the right thing. He pushed right when he needed to try and have the best tires for these final 6 laps before this stage, so he has it planned perfectly. The question is, will he be able to get around the 2 in front of him?
And a driver we've seen qualify well this season, didn't get the best qualifying time that he was hoping for. It was still inside of the top 10. Gavin Rogers in the 75, trying to get his 3rd win this season. And the 75 machine also selecting himself to be in this front pack. Top 6, all within a second of one another. Brad B. Johnson, he's running decently quick enough to maybe catch up to this field. We might have our top 10 all on top of one another by the time of this run is over, as laps continue to tick away. 6 to go, going to be 5 when they cross the line before this stage is over. And it does not look like it is a solidified positionings on who's going to be winning this stage, as Ryan Kelly going to be finally making his push to try to go to the inside, battle for 2nd place. Chris Stitz is going to be forcing it to 3 wide, backs out of that positioning, and now our top 6, they are deciding who's willing to make it 3 wide, because Ryan Kelly, he's almost willing to give a tap to get Shane Tarian out of the way.
Yeah, they were really close right there, leaning on one another. The 17's just got a bird's eye view of this battle. He's like, when do you need to make the move? Because I don't know where to go, behind the 9, behind the 3, but now he can't go anywhere behind the 9 because the 74's to his outside. We got battles all over this track, but right now, the 3 is trying everything to get around the 9, but just not able to complete that pass on the bottom. Very challenging, as they're going to make almost contact there. So close. What great battle they're putting on, but that 74 is trying to get around all of them while they battle.
And all these drivers pushing back and forth. What position can you be in to make these big passes and moves? As it's going to be Nick Crawford on the outside lane, as well as seeing Gavin Rogers. That outer groove, the momentum you get off the corner, and the fact that you're able to carry so much more speed is enabling these drivers to now try to conveyor belt the 3 of Ryan Kelly, who's stuck to the inside. He'll lose a position to Nick Crawford. Crawford will push the 9 of Shane Tarian forward, and now with 3 laps to go in the stage, it might be whoever can get to that outside lane, maybe run the Kyle Larson line up on that wall, that might have the position to go get by Shane Terrian and Bronson Stafford, who continue to defend so well these last handful of laps.
Well, Ryan Kelly had that chance to get to the top coming out of turns 1 and 2, and he went right to the top and made sure he ran that through 3 and 4 so no one could get to his outside. He's going to try and regroup here and maybe have one more chance of getting around to 9, regroup. But I tell you what, these drivers are putting on a great show. If this is what we're in for the next 100 laps, 120 laps after this stage, this is going to be fun to watch. 34 laps into this rundown, these drivers are still side by side putting on great racing.
Talk about how we might have our top 10 all within fighting distance here at the end of this stage. Well, it's coming up to our white flag of the stage. Bronson Stafford trying to pull away once again. He's almost up to a half a second ahead of Shane Terrian and Ryan Kelly, but the bigger the pack has grown to where Shane Terrian looms. It's now grown towards 9th to 2nd, are all within at least 7/10 to one another. And it's Shane Terrian trying to hold back the Wolves as the 61 continues to try to lead this race as they're going to be closing up to the end of this run. We wait for the stage yellow to be thrown, but every position so critical on who's going to be in the better positioning. They're almost 3 wide battling for 4th place as Brian P. Johnson cycling through the middle groove, but across the line, it's Bronson Stafford, your stage winner here tonight as the yellow flag flies.
I just thought that was fantastic racing. You see right out of the back of the screen, the 9th place driver, Cedric Hunter. He was right there in that battle. I mean, he was 4 car lengths away from being in like 3rd position. That got so tight at the end that this could be such a fun race from here on out. These drivers are putting on a great show, and we're going to talk about tire strategy now. We know drivers are all going to go in and get those 4 fresh tires. As you see the points right there, John Forbes Jr. going to be the last driver to get 1 point for that stage. Bronson Stafford going to get to 10 valuable bonus points, which will be really important for him.
Yeah, Stafford really came in with a great run here tonight. Then Shane Terrian, Ryan Kelly, Nick Crawford, Gavin Rogers, Brian P. Johnson, Drew Jua, Chris Ditz, Cedric Hunter, and John Forbes going to be your 10 drivers getting bonus points here at the end of our stage. The field will come into pit road, get their pit stops if they decide that that's where they want to be. Curious if anyone's maybe going to think about what strategies could be thrown here, Justin, because I know later on we might talk about drivers tempted to take 2 tires. Drivers might be tempted, I'm expecting tires to be taken, but do you think anyone risks it early on to maybe take 2 tires for that track position?
As much as I think we would like to see it up here for some added bonus excitement to already a great race, I can't see anyone taking anything but 4 tires, just knowing how tight the track is and how we were able to see drivers be able to pass. Yes, it is hard to pass, but at least there's grooves out there. I think they want the 4 fresh tires, but I can't rule out 2 tires later on, like you said, especially if it stays green and maybe at the end someone makes their final pit stop and says, you know what, I'm gonna do 2 tires and a little bit of fuel, try and get out soon. But right now, it's 61, overshot the pit road. Not gonna come out the leader, I don't think, Sam.
I mean, if everyone else has mistakes, maybe you can skate away, but sliding through your box is known to at least lose 2 to maybe 3 positions. With that slide, Bronson Stafford takes off, but already you're seeing multiple positions being lost. Fight off a pit road, contact even made. And then drivers getting ruthless between one another on their positioning. But it's going to be Nick Crawford, going to be the driver that wins off a pit road. Shane Terrian 3rd, 4th goes to Ryan Kelly, Kevin Rogers, and Bronson Stafford falling down to 6th. Will move up to 5th as Aaron Smith II finds himself going to be out on track, staying out, trying to lead a lap. We'll see if he's going to be entering pit road this time around. But for us, we're going to see if we can talk to our stage winner, being Bronson Stafford in the 61. See how well he's feeling being up front, dominating after getting the lead after our previous restart. Bronson, it's Sam and Justin up in the booth. You got us?
Yeah, hey.
Well, Bronson, you find yourself being the stage winner, dominating most of stage 1. How are you feeling? How's this track feeling so far here tonight?
Feels good. It kind of feels like retro Gen 6, or just going a little bit quicker. So I think it fits Shane and I a little bit.
Hey, Bronson, great job up there getting that stage 1 victory. It stopped there, just slid through that box a little bit. Is that what we looked like? That's what we saw on TV. Is that what happened? It cost you a couple spots there. I'm pretty certain you're fast. I'm expecting to see you get those back.
Yeah, I slid like maybe a foot and just had to back it up. So those few spots lost, but Shane lost a spot as well, and the 70's on 2 tires. So I don't know. We'll see. It's can't go just as hard as we did last time. It's we actually have to plan out and run and stuff now for tires and pit stops. So, But yeah, I think we'll be all right.
Well, Bronson, coming through traffic, how are you worried about the dirty air? Because it seems like it's been difficult for some drivers to make some passes so far.
I think it's really hard to pass on the bottom. Just with the top is really, really good because the bottom means the whole exit. But the car actually feels better in draft, like behind someone. It has a better front end on it. It just grips better. But it's really just hard to actually get the pass done. So I'm not too worried about it here. It's just how important our position's going to be. I guess we'll see.
Well, we'll send you back to your team. Congratulations on the stage win, and good luck for the rest of the night.
Yeah, thanks, guys.
As we send Bronson Stafford back to his teammate at Sky Motorsports, Aaron Smith II did lead his lap and then went into pit road. So gifting the lead to Nick Crawford, who will be on the outside. Shane Tarian will be on the inside groove. Justin getting that bonus point for the 70 machine. I think that was the key, but now he's got a long road here tonight to try to go for some big bonus points.
He got the bonus point, like you said, definitely key for him, but he's also got about an extra lap and a half of fuel by going in a little later, so maybe he's thinking something long term that we are not sure of yet. Maybe it'll be something that'll work out for him, but I think, like you said, most importantly, he just got that bonus point. But they're lining back up here side by side, so it is going to be quite the show here. Nick Crawford coming out of the pits in the first position. He's going to be the one with the control car.
Well, if you are just joining us now, we just concluded our stage. There will be no more stages moving on, but this race, the sun is setting. The track temp expected to drop maybe a little bit lower as this race progresses. We had our one on-track incident where Carl Pooler was taken out of the race. Brian McCann missing out on the start. He's currently 16 laps down. He's got just salvage and hope for a bit more wrecks to gain positions back, and a few other drivers kind of nursing their wounded vehicles to the end of this race. But up front, Nick Crawford, Shane Terry going to be your front drivers. See how well they can handle this restart as we are back to green flag action for the incredible ISRC 150 here at Chicagoland. And it's Nick Crawford who gets the good run on the outside. It's now going to be 2 by 2 all the way through, with Crawford exiting out of turn 2 for himself, leading this race.
Nobody would like to see that great restart better than the 75 behind Nick Crawford. Gavin Rogers going to move into second position now. That's the highest up we've seen him running. Now he's got that little bit of clean air, but also to 77, who you were mentioning, Sam, as being one of the faster drivers on that previous run. But the 9, he comes out with the worst end of it. He's going to drop back to 4th after this restart.
Yeah, and Drew Jua also, coming off of last week, there was a huge surge that took out 3 drivers of their iRacing's freezing up. It was Shane Tarian in the 9, Drew Jewell in the 77, and Christopher Wade in the 53. They had their issues that popped up last week. I know a couple of other drivers here tonight have been blinking with internet troubles and are hoping that their vehicles will hold steady underneath them. But right now, Justin, it's just pure speed. Drew Jewell knows he needs a good run. A win could solidify him into the playoffs. But there's a couple of drivers here that know, hey, we would like a couple of more wins if possible before this regular season is over to earn those playoff points that can allow you to really transfer each one of these rounds so quickly.
38 drivers out here tonight want that special W. They want the win, but unfortunately, one of them is already out, and the other one of Brian McCann, he's 16 laps down. Carl Pooler's out of the race already. But anyone from 1st through 36 is thinking win, win, win tonight. Get those playoff points, and if you don't have the win, get the first win and lock yourselves in, hopefully, to get into the next round and going from there on out to win the championship. And you see right here, we got a great battle. Our first 3-wide battle, the 46 Trent Jump, fast in practice. Gonna come out, the 13 gets so close. Cedric Hunter had Ollie Fonseca underneath him, and Trent Jump with that great powerful move to the outside. He's got that riding on the outside. I think he's gonna almost get up into the wall there, it looked like.
Almost brushing it and trying to carry as much momentum as possible. And for Trent Jump, it's such a risky gamble to be up there in that 3rd lane, especially when there's not a lot of spacing to slice down, utilize the momentum you're building up. You are trusting the driver in front of you to maybe give some space. And with Trent Jump, it just sends it a little bit deeper, tries to keep it equal. It's going to be 3 wide. And the driver's been one of our biggest movers of the evening. Tries to make another big move as the 46. Trying to solidify himself inside of the top 5 in each corner, just gaining more and more positions. We know this is going to backfire later on in the run, but here early on, this is some great racing action for the drivers just inside of our top 10.
I mean, they're going to be 4 wide going into this corner.
Oh, they're trying to give the space. They somehow keep it together. That should not have worked out at all, but somehow they keep it neat and tidy, just showing the strength and skill that's here in the WSSR Cup Series. And also a little bit of luck keeping it together as they continue to stay 3 wide, almost 4 wide again. This is just inside of our top 10, but Trenton Jump, he's now up to 4th. He's trying to continue his march forward.
Keeps marching forward, and like you said, is he going to pay the price later on in the run? But he doesn't care right now. He wants to get up there, get in that clean air, and make these guys try and pass him later on the inside, because it looks like he's committed to that outside line, and he's just going to keep driving up to 3rd position now. 1.7 seconds back, but ultra fast running that outside line. I mean, he might have a chance to get here at 2nd if he can get through this corner, and I think he might do it.
He is making it work at this time, trying to get by for 2nd place over Edward Sherwood Jr. and for Trenton Jump. Solidifies that pass. Bronson Stafford saw the momentum surging on the outside groove. The 61 follows in suit. Same with his teammate Shane Tarian. And then in the black and blue, the biggest mover of all drivers on track, Cody Reed. He started in 32nd position. He's now just 1 position out of our top 5.
He is making all the moves, showing us that you can pass. We're going to be on board right here with Cody Reed holding a nice, pretty wheel, but making the passes on the outside. Ed Sherwood Jr., he was just in 2nd position. Now he's dropping almost outside the top 5. Cody Reed going to get a huge run right here, utilize a little draft off the 9 and send it into the corner, turns 1 and 2. And something we saw right there on camera, a little bit of the bump getting in turn 1 and 2. I feel like running up high, the bump isn't as bad as if you're angled turning down to the bottom. So maybe these drivers are migrating to the top. Temperatures are cooling off. We talked about the cars being tight. Maybe right now the outside line is working with these temperatures dropping.
And Cody Reed continues to try to follow in suit of the Sky Motorsports drivers and Trenton Jump. They still have a long gap to catch up to our current leader of Nick Crawford, who's 1.5 seconds ahead of all of this battling we've been watching. But there's one driver for sure that we got to go back to, just outside the top 10 and 11, Ryan Kelly. He's given up a lot of time for the free machine. We saw it succeed in the fact that it allowed him to march forward later on at the stage for the 3. Gavin Rogers as well. I think they're both playing once again a little bit of cat and mouse on. It will let you pull out for now. We'll run you down here in the next 20 laps.
I believe that would be accurate. I feel like that happens to us up here in the booth quite a few times where we get worried about the 3 of Ryan Kelly, but he's just really, really good on the long run. Just a really smart driver. But like you said, dropping outside the top 10, I mean, it gets harder to pass these cars. Now being back in 11th position, he's got to pass 10 this time. That first run, he only had to pass 3 cars when he fell back to 4th. A lot more challenging this time around.
As we took a look at the drivers just inside of our top 30, here's 29th place runner of Danny Cochran, who did not qualify well. I was expecting Danny to be one of those drivers inside of the top 15 for tonight's race. It looks like not a lot of strength. Also for the 26th, Tom Sinchak, who's caught up in our first wreck after being bumped by the 7 of Douglas, the new Big E. He's struggling to try to recover after his damage that he collected in 30th. And also Ken Campbell, and on the fact that he was hoping for a good run here tonight, he is now currently just settling in 31st. Maybe hoping to see this race making a turnaround for the 15 as they see a wall of drivers still side by side. The 01 of Matthew Rodriguez, part of the Cody Reed and Trenton Jump just masterclass of trying to move up through the field, kind of settled behind in a weight as the SpongeBob machines. We're right on board with Tyler Dangler and the Squidward and the Patrick SpongeBob machine of Christopher Norris in front, trying to kind of alliance friends, running a friend scheme, but not under the same banner, but still having fun further back in the pack, trying to go for a top 25 finish here this evening.
And you see right alongside him another great paint scheme. The number 2, Danny Cochran, always has some really nice purples going on and some neon colors. You see right there the 38, the Krusty Krab, the Love Bug. These drivers definitely take pride in having some really nice paint schemes. I feel like we get a good chance to touch on it each week. And see the Tim Horton colors right there, some good coffee. Larry Yingling, though, I got to talk about him for a second. Don't we normally talk about him running up front? What's going on here tonight, Sam?
It might be one of those races where he's just learning. I mean, we talked to Zach last week when he won. You know, when you're further back in the pack, you learn a lot of lessons of how the dirty air might influence your car, certain passes and timings. And for Larry, he didn't qualify well, qualified 30th here tonight in a track that he's actually had found success in the past. He actually won this race back in season 3, but that was back when they were running the Jet 6 car. So curious if We heard from Bronson. He said that he felt like this was a faster Gen 6 car that we're feeling on the setup-wise, the way the car's reacting. And we might see Larry be a driver to watch out for. Currently 21st, just getting by Douglas Newbigging and trying to make that march forward in the red machine.
Yeah, that would not surprise me. Everything you just said is very accurate. A driver who we could for sure see up there later on in this race. Just kind of caught me by surprise how far back he was. And you see right here, Andrew Medlin, that's who we're following right now on screen. He was up there not too long ago battling inside the top 10, maybe through the transitions of pit stops and not having a great restart. Lost a few spots, but he might be a driver that can get back up there. But right now, just kind of stuck in that bubble of where there's drivers everywhere you go, top, bottom, middle. It's really hard to pass when you get back in the middle part of this group.
As we're seeing the Medlin Cam continuing to try to make his way forward again, 17th in points, and trying to continue to grab every point possible with a good finish here this evening. As seeing Douglas Newbigging in 22nd position, trying to find his way to go forward. Same for the 06 of Tom Bourne, who did not have the qualifying run that he was hoping for here this evening, as the field is starting to kind of hit a stall point. We're 20 laps on these tires, about 18 laps of green flag laps underneath them, and this is around that zone during the stage that we saw that transition of drivers that were pushing too aggressively started to fall back. Those that were conserving started to make their run forward. There's one driver that continues to build the lead. Nick Crawford's lead is now up to 2.3 seconds. Justin, I mean, this is incredible to see for Nick Crawford, but again, we wait. Is this a strategy that he just has this natural pace over everyone else, or is everyone else starting to fall off and it's holding back the field?
We are going to find out because, like you said, we're in that transition period where the people who are going to come to the front are going to start coming to the front, and the ones that burn through their tires are going to start fading. But right now, it doesn't matter. The 74, he's fast, but he's using that shortcut consistently. It seems like he wants to run down there. Maybe he's got something figured out where he's able to run more straight through that front straightaway instead of having to turn as much. See it, we're riding on board here, see what kind of line he's doing, Sam. Maybe it's just something he's got figured out. These other drivers are smart. They'll start watching him and they'll adjust, see what he does coming out of this corner.
As Nick Crawford is hitting his marks, continuing to try to stay at least 2 seconds ahead of the rest of the field. Our first side-by-side racing action is actually going to be back in 5th place as continues to use that apron through the front stretch, but side-by-side battling, one driver starting to fade back, and that's Bronson Stafford. He was a part of the group that was willing to use the outside lane. 61 starting to fade back as John Forbes, Ollie Fonseca have now slotted themselves forward. And the 24 in the similar Larry Art's machine, the purple, very close to Danny Cochran's scheme. Gotta say, talked to Ollie coming into this race, asked him a simple question. You feel like you could be winning here tonight? And he said, no, not really, but I mean, we got to give kudos to the 24, running 5th currently as we're entering into the long run.
Running a fast 5th position right there, doing really good tonight, as you see, but he is under pressure from the 11 of John Forbes. These guys, they're all under that blanket again. This is that transition, and one person who is maybe starting to transition backwards, he was running 2nd. He had it 1.6 seconds. It was Trenton Jump. We talked about how much speed he was carrying, running that 3rd lane on those restarts. Grow from about 10th position up to 2nd. But right now, he's under pressure. He might be falling back to 4th. But even worse for him, though, he's now 3 seconds behind the leader, losing that time.
Also, you've been seeing it on screen, the 71 of Edward Sherwood Jr. also tagging along as his teammate of Drew Jua. They are showing speed on the inside, trying to continue to mount their way forward. On the outside, moving forward, is the 3 of Ryan Kelly, as well as the 75 of Gavin Rogers. Those drivers that were just inside of our top 10, a little bit outside, that were willing to give up anywhere from 4 to 6 positions on the restart. Well, they are now showing that they've got the pace, and it is go time if they want to fight and run down our leader of Nick Crawford before they think about pit stops, which for the field, we were given the number of 60 to 68 laps is the number that they can go on fuel based off saving fuel or willing to get aggressive. See if maybe that changes as Zach Hall's getting a good picture in front of him of this calamity that's kind of building up his contact. Drew Jua, Ryan Kelly off the exit of the corner, the 3, get a little bit of tail slapper to the 77.
And you can see right here on board, you see all the drivers kind of scatter when that contact happened. But I mean, are we at Daytona sometimes? Look at, they're just 2x2 in front, and I mean, this track has just really put on great racing for these drivers running all over the place. But Sam, you said 68 laps for the fuel window. If my math serves me correctly, these drivers would probably be only doing one more pit stop from here on out, or would they want to do the 2 pit stops and get in there and kind of split it so that they can get the fresh rubber? But I mean, I tell you what, you spend so much time, this track is so fast, you spend so much time down there on that 55-mile-an-hour pit road. Not sure if you'd be able to make all that time back, but I'm thinking most of the drivers are probably thinking that one special stop, try and go as far as they can and then stretch it to the end.
Yeah, one stops might be the optimal strategy to go for, especially because we're 28 laps under these tires, about 26 of green flag laps under the wear and tear, and they might be on the side of, you know, looking at the fuel. We're only about a second off of some of these drivers' fastest laps as Drew Jua and Bronson Stafford almost make contact. They're stacked in contact between one another, and oh, they go into the wall as a stacked 4 wide was happening there with Drew Jua, Bronson Stafford, and Ryan Kelly just trickling into one another, and that's kind of where we're building out. The exit turn 2, been seeing a lot of drivers squeezing into one another. They've been graced with slight contact here or there and able to actually react and hold on. But we're getting to that stage here, Justin, where tire wear starting to fall off and maybe tempers may be starting to mount up.
Yeah, that got really interesting right there. 2 of our fast drivers making some heavy contact. I think the 75 was also making some contact, and that maybe initiated it. But Ryan Kelly came out probably with the worst amount of impact. I know these cars can take damage, but that was a pretty decent hit. Not sure if he's going to have any kind of optional repair or not, as the cars do take, they do take the abuse. But yeah, it was interesting. The 13 is going to throw a huge block way up there, as you see the 14 all over the back bumper. The 13 of Cedric Hunter, GT Irizarry getting blocked by the 13 machine. That was a big movement right there.
Heavy blocks for 11th position for the 13 of Cedric Hunter, trying to hold back GT Irizarry, and as well in front of them, some hard racing's going down for 4th place, back to 9th. Cody Reed made our biggest mover so far. He's trying to hold back some fast drivers, a Trenton Jump, Edward Sherwood Jr., Ollie Fonseca, and he is bobbing and weaving back and forth. The 25 is doing everything he can for 4th place to hold this position, but Edward Sherwood Jr. finally gets to the inside. We'll see if the run on the outside allows the 25 to keep this position, but they have been going back and forth, and watch out for the 75 machine on the inside in the white and black. That's going to be Gavin Rogers. He might be setting up for a chance here to try to force it 3 wide, and he will off the exit of turn 4.
The drivers on the inside, they just have such a big impact there. The 46 coming out of the corner hits that wall pretty good. See if he's able to continue, no problem. But I mean, that's just coming out of that exit. Car tightens up and he just slapped the wall there. Luckily, no one was underneath them. Ollie Fonseca now is underneath them, but big impact there for the 46. Hopefully, he's able to continue.
Open to continue on. We also can officially announce that another driver has called it a night involved in our first wreck. Anthony Gaudio is officially out of this race for the 29 machine. He'll be joining Carl Pooler in the garage, and that's another position for Brian McCann, who again missed the start of the race. Might have been some slight connection issues. We'll wait for the official report to happen in the 8 machine, but 2nd week in a row missing the start of the race, and now we'll see how well he can recover, as it's going to be a big loss of points as we continue to watch the battling for the drivers just instead of our top 10. Evan Rogers working that outside groove, but finally able to slot his way up to 4th is the 71 of Edward Sherwood Jr., and that is a huge win for himself. But other drivers are squeezing in. It's getting a little bit more compact up front with everyone closing in on one another.
Well, you saw it right there. Cedric Hunter coming up, shutting the door on Ollie Fonseca. Cedric Hunter is able to make that pass, and he's going to try and put some pressure on the 46, who right now is just getting ultra tight, dropping back to 9th position. Well, he's about to drop back to 9th, as Cedric Hunter's going to drive to the inside, but we talked about it. He was really fast, drove to the front. But you know what, Sam? I like that move. I like being aggressive, because what if the caution came out? He would be restarting in 2nd position. Then he can maybe save his tires and plan from there on out. It just did not work out, as right now he's under heavy pressure with the pack. Now kind of gotten him under their wings right there. And
talking about things getting a little bit more compact. Here's our battle that once was for the lead last week at Indy, now battling side by side for 13th position. Zach Hall, Vincent Sora, they're trying to find their way to move forward together as the 32 has been trying to find speed on the outside lane. Vincent Sora has been a little bit more patient as Ryan Kelly, that was close to the outside wall. And these drivers' exits are getting a lot more tighter each and every lap that passes as we officially are into the first half is done. We enter the second half of this race.
Second half of this race right now, like you mentioned, these two drivers that are battling side by side, Zach Hall's going to drop it down to the inside, and Vincent Sora, I mean, they were battling for the win last week, and right now this race, been really quiet, running back there in the middle of this race, back in 10th, 12th, 13th, 14th spot. Seems like all nice, Sam. I mean, that just shows you how the competition in this league is really fantastic. That two drivers last week who were one of the best drivers in the whole race, this race, they can't get inside the top 10.
Yeah, they've been just outside the top 10. I think it might be a strategy call for some, and I think we're seeing right now, it's just the competition. There's a little bit more I want to be up front, shown by some of these drivers. Ryan Kelly, though, after getting into the outside wall and seeing the tires fade away, the 3, he was being patient. Maybe gave himself the green light too soon as he's starting to fade back. Potentially the 3 could fall outside of our top 15 if he's not careful, but the battling for second place, it swapped hands to John Forbes. Shane Terrian now under fire with the 71 of Edward Sherwood Jr. as the Lucky Ducks machines of Sherwood Jr. and Jua, they have been trying to make the way forward, but one that's been slightly faster than everyone up front, it's that the 13 of going to be of Cedric Hunter. He is looking quick and has been one of the faster drivers here late.
Great valid point to make. We talked about it at the end of the first stage. He was running 9th, but he was right there where he could have been in maybe even second or third position if he could just gain about 30 feet on tracks. The 71 and the 9, they're so close coming out of this corner. This race is really exciting. Kind of takes your breath away sometimes when you see these drivers. You're like, oh, they're going to wreck, but they stay off one another, able to keep it really good, hard, clean racing all night. But wow, it's just awesome to see these drivers. And 9, I think he might have got really close to the wall. That's going to give Hunter a big run on this outside right here. Is he going to be able to get alongside him? He is. Cedric Hunter's going to potentially move up another spot as he gets a huge run into the corner right behind the 77. Cedric Hunter right now, he's got that car hooked up.
He's got it hooked up and willing to make some big moves here late. These drivers under this stint, 41 laps under these tires, a total of 39 under green flag conditions. And again, the fuel run we were given around 60 to 65 laps. So you might be able to push it maybe a little bit further if you're clutching and doing everything possible to save fuel to maybe go 68 laps. But when do you want to make that pit stop? Because we are closing in on that 60 window here in the next 10 laps. Justin, do you feel like you need to push it all the way to empty, or do you play a little bit of early pit stops and go with that undercut?
That is such a really interesting question to try and think about. I mean, the way that the tires definitely matter and handling definitely matters, but the problem is if you stay out even 2 laps longer than anyone else, I mean, the field is so close, Sam, that if you give up 4 seconds, you're talking about maybe going from 2nd back to 12th or 13th. Then you got to pass those cars back. I mean, 2 lap better tires, can you really make up all that time? But then again, I would love to have maybe 5 to 10 lap better tires than the people in front of me, but you would be paying the price. You could be talking about giving up maybe 10 to 15 seconds. I'm just not sure you can make that back out on track. I might think of being maybe not the first to pit, maybe like the next lap by, getting in there and getting those tires before anyone else can undercut you.
And also when you come into pits road, because we're expecting this to be kind of your final lap, your final pit stop of the night, you have to make sure that you get in your box cleanly and don't slide through. We're able to maybe negate some time being lost by sliding through under our stage brake, but when it is green, you cannot afford any type of mistakes. As we're watching the battling on screen for 13th, 14th, and 15th, that's the 3 machine of Ryan Kelly in 13th. 14th is the 28 of Brian P. Johnson, and the 17 of Chris Stitz. Again, Ryan Kelly grabbed the pole. Stitz grabbed 3rd. They're just outside of the top 10, needing a little bit more help, as we're also seeing them catching up to Zach Hall, Ollie Fonseca, and seeing the 32 of Zach Hall. His partner in crime of Vincent Sora, well, Sora's pulled away. He's now up to 8th place. We're starting to see a little bit of difference on drivers that maybe they were working the outside lane a little bit too much. Starting to fall back.
Yeah, we were just talking about it, how those two drivers that were doing so good at Indy last week weren't inside the top 10, and now they are making their way. Like you said, Vincent Soar up to 8th, Zach Hall about to break the top 10 very shortly here. But I have to talk about Ryan Kelly. I mean, Sam, I don't think this is him saving tires anymore. We're too late in the run. I'm worried that maybe that damage from before getting up in the wall, maybe that's hurting him more than we thought initially, because I'm a little surprised right now that he isn't charging more to the front.
Yeah, I mean, usually when you get into that outside wall, especially the angle that we saw Ryan Kelly get into it, it tightens up the car a little bit more. And with how tight these drivers were already talking about this machine being here tonight, that is just making it so much worse. You got to back off your speed a little bit more than traditionally, and hurting everyone around us. We're seeing this field trying to find their ways to get to that lap 91 to 100 marker. It's going to be around the zone that we're expecting drivers to make their pit stops. Who will be willing to take the early pit stop? And I'm curious also, as we drop back to just outside of our top 25, you see Richard Wilsifer in the 56. What's Larry Yingling? Yingling, he lost position the last time we talked about him. Try and find any openings to maybe strike forward if possible. You also see Mike Tellier, our Daytona Oval winner, behind the 67, and Dakota Moniz trying to find their way forward if possible. And for some drivers, it's just a survival game. I know, Justin, with the field, there's kind of that confidence level for some drivers. Maybe in other leagues, you're running for top 15s, potentially sometimes top 5s. When your driver's this far back, it's got to be a little bit demoralizing knowing that, hey, I'm just fighting for top 20. And it's kind of curious to see the mindset of different drivers, those that we follow up front compared to those that are kind of just trying to have their best day possible this season.
But yeah, I think that's what makes league so good, when you can have a car count of 38. I mean, unfortunately, not every driver can be up front. Not every driver is going to get all the airtime. That's why we definitely try to make the effort to talk about all of them, because you got to appreciate the guys that maybe are just happy to run in 20th, 25th position. Because when you have 38 cars out there, running in 25th is still, that's a big win. You're still beating a lot of good cars out there, and this feels so tight. So just, you got to give a shout out to all the drivers out here just for being in this league and knowing that, hey, with 38 drivers out there, you're not going to be in the top 10 all the time, but still they all show up each week. The car counts never really dropping off here. We've been consistently in that 38 to 40 range, it seems, every week. We're on board right here with the 70, who, remember, not too long ago, he stayed out to lead a lap, and we know he can definitely go a lap longer on fuel, so we'll see how he uses that strategy. Not sure how it'll work out for him, but at least he got that bonus point.
Yeah, I think it was just get the bonus point, get the points that you can grab. Aaron Smith second, back in 31st position. He's over 16 seconds behind some of this battling ahead as we move up to the drivers in the mid-pack. This is for 18th, 19th, and 20th position. Danny Cochran in 18th position, Josh Canada in 18th. You can see Ken Campbell and Douglas Newbigging battling on who's going to be in 20th for the 7 and the 15. Douglas Newbigging, again, qualified in 27th. He's been trying to be on the charge to move forward. One of our more aggressive drivers, and just it has not been there for the strength to make these passes. Certainly has been trying his best.
I wasn't going to say 15 to Ken Campbell, because I feel like anytime we do something that happens to him later on in the race, and such a nice, quiet driver who seems to always have a good finish stolen away from him, so I didn't want to say it, but since you brought it up, we'll have to talk about him. He's having a decent run tonight, staying out of trouble. Right now, doing what he has to do, but Douglas Newbigging right here on the inside, running that inside line. We know he's good. We saw him at Michigan run that inside line the whole time at Michigan and make it work, and it seems like he's committed again tonight to running that inside. He's going to try and get around. 16 of Josh Canada's. We have a driver blinking, Sam.
There's a couple of drivers having some major blinks for themselves. The big one is the 06 of Tom Bourne. He was having issues during practice. He's hoping that it was going to get cleaned up, and it looks like it is striking once again. Also, you got to move up front because the battle for the lead is underway, as going to be the 74 of Nick Crawford. Big loss of speed for himself off the exit of the corner. Just got caught by John Forbes, and now is going to be causing some great racing up front. Top 6 drivers all on top of one another. John Forbes has been the spearhead, trying to carry and catch up to Nick Crawford. Now Douglas going to be Drew Drua trying to make his way forward. Also seeing Edward Shore Jr. pushing up on the 74. Hey, Robbins race and use each other up, as now it's side by side for the lead, side by side for third, side by side for fifth, as they continue to march their way forward. And as we're closing in the end of this race, Drew Drua, John Forbes make contact on the entry. They make contact off the exit. They keep it together, and Drua and Forbes They might be using each other up, but they keep it together, pointed straight, and still leading this race.
And they're still running side by side, putting on a great show for us. I have to quick say, though, the 74, he dropped off fast. I mean, he had a 2.5-second lead, and then it just disappeared. It caught me by surprise. If I'm him, I'm going in right now and getting those tires, because we are at the same amount of distance that we've run that we have left in this race. So we know how good he was. The 11.77, though, they are going to definitely make contact. I mean, they were leaning on each other, and that Vincent Sora, he is flying right now. I mean, he was just outside the top 10, and he just turned it on. But if I was Nick Crawford, Sam, I'd be going and getting those tires right now.
He just pitted when he made that call, and maybe he wants to go in. And I'm watching this battle for the lead. John Forbes has no grip. He continues to dive it down low, trying to stay low on that white line, but always drifts up into the 77 of Drew Jua. That is going to be such a frustrating feeling as the 11, he backs out. Might be the call. It's pit road for John Forbes.
I'm starting to really like this call. I mean, we only have 55 laps to go. You're not going to run as long as you did that first run. I really like Nick Crawford's strategy. I mean, I'm hoping this stays green so we can see how this plays out. We don't get a caution right here that would kill some of these drivers pitting early. But Nick Crawford, that could be a race-winning move, I think, Sam. He's going to have a huge lead now. First driver on tires, and he was so good for the first 50 to 60 laps of that run before it started falling off here in the final 5 to 10 laps. I mean, it could be something where by the time those other guys catch him, they might not have a chance to do it.
Also, we haven't seen a true picture of what it's like to have different variety of lap on your tires. Of, you know, is having 2 lap fresher tires to 1 lap a major advantage, or is it going to be pretty equal as it fades through a run? As Drew Jua holds the lead for now. Edward Schubert Jr. tries to march on the outside, but who will be the next of our top 5 to enter pit road as more drivers further on back make their stops? Cody Reed as well as Bronson Stafford, Mike Tellier, they're going to be done with their stops. But up front, seeing all 3 distinctive lanes being utilized here late. And that's the big thing that we love to see, is everyone still utilizing all the different lanes. Everything's still viable here late.
Oh, that is what makes this track fun. Just running wherever you want. It makes passing become a reality. It's hard to do it on the inside, and you saw the 11 battling hard with the 77 before. It's definitely easier to make those passes on the outside, but when most guys migrate to the top, it makes it ultra hard. See right here, 75. Gavin Rogers got a little bit of clean track around. I'm sure he's appreciating that right now. He's able to run his race and not have to risk overdriving the car too much. But when do we start seeing more drivers pit? I'm really shocked that guys are not going in there. They're probably giving up, I would think, 2 seconds a lap right now. If I had to guess, Sam, I mean, we're talking that the 74 and the 11, they could potentially have an 8-second lead over these guys that were racing right by them. I don't know if they can make that up in 50 laps.
I mean, the tires kind of have mellowed out. They kind of plateaued. We've been running similar lap times for the past 30 laps. Everyone's been running about a second off of their fastest times. Currently, once again, Drew Jua, even that last lap, ran about a second and a half slower than his fastest lap. So it's one of those things where these drivers, they're having their ebb and flow of how the tires are reacting each and every lap, as well as when they're being battled. It's costing on time, as seeing our top 4 once again back at it again on who's going to want this lead before they enter into pit road. Drew Jua stays high, and more drivers have trickled into pit road. Currently, it's our top 15, still needing to make a pit stop before the night's over.
Still needing to make that pit stop, and what I would fear with some of these guys, you see a big group of them come in now. Vincent Sora, Cedric Hunter, they're leading this pack in. But I would worry, if any of those people pitting back in 15th, did they run fast enough that they are going to be in front of these guys? Are they going to have to battle now and burn up their tires to try and get around them? We'll find out really shortly, as these drivers are all going to be cycling through. I would expect to see Drew Jua and Ed Shearer Jr. hit pit road right now as we're on board. The 77, your leader, is he going to bring it in?
He will. Same with Edward Schubert Jr. Both over the radio saying they're entering pit road extremely wide. And oh boy, locking it up, slowing down, almost spinning out as Drew Jua. He has to lock it down, looking to see if there's any black flag given for an unsafe pit entry, because if you hit that cone on the entry point, that could cost you a black flag. Looks like both drivers clear for Edward Schubert Jr. and Drew Jua. Scary moment, and maybe that aggression might help him out with how quick they entered into pit road.
That was ultra impressive. I swear I thought he hit the cone. That's incredible that he was able to get the car turned back there. I never thought he was going to do it. I mean, these drivers each week, they just shock me how good they are. They're so talented. Like you said, Sam, that could be something that maybe he gained enough time to be able to stay with the 74, but now he'll have a couple extra lap better tires, so maybe he gained a ton of time there on pit road. We'll see how it cycles out.
The march, the surge, pit stops are done, and now it's all about who's going to make it to the end of this race, taking the glory and the win. Nick Crawford's going to be your leader, and his next driver watching out going to be John Forbes. But all the huge cluster is building around 9th place. It's the chase to run down the 74 machine. And for us up at the booth, we will step away when we come back. It's going to be more great racing action here at Chicagoland. We'll talk about who's the driver to watch out for, who has a chance to win, as we come back right after this with more great racing action. You're watching the WSSR Cup Series Season 9, Race 10. It's the incredible ISRC 150 here at Chicagoland. We'll be back right after this as we go side by side. Well, we go to commercial break and caution flag flies. You saw it there on our side-by-side issue strike for Tom Sinchak, Mike Tellier, and Chris Stitz. Trying to go 3 wide, and contact is made. As the drivers, he's trying to go back to see the time of contact. To see up front of Brian Kelly, 3 wide through the center of 1 and 2. They squeeze off the exit. Then there's nowhere to go for Sinchak into Mike Tellier. That will bring out our caution here. That kind of throws away all the strategy for themselves, as Mike Tellier also having a little bit of woes coming into pit road for himself, as saw just the incredible racing between one another. We were able to see the pit stops be made, but Justin, just like that, the caution is now out. It resets everyone. All that strategy that Nick Crawford had is now gone from this race.
It's now gone, and drivers will be going in and getting tires, but will anyone take 2 tires? I mean, this is, we talked about it before, Sam. I mean, some of these guys only have a couple laps of tire wear on there, or will people choose just to stay out? I mean, tire wear definitely important, but if you can run these final 42 laps and not have the car just give up on you, it's going to be challenging. But I mean, we are the coolest we've been all night with the weather, so this track is going to have a little bit more grip.
Going to have a little bit more grip to work with, and strategy calls with the timing of this yellow. Some drivers that were further on back saying, you know what, if I want a chance for my best finish of the season, I got to stay out. And one of those being Ryan Ferraro in the 34. Also was falling back and having a later pit stop than some others. Ryan Kelly stays out. Same for Ollie Fonseca and Richard Wolsifer. Cody Reed, one of those drivers that pitted later, he also stays out. Top 5 going to be on older tires. Fresh tires for 6th on back. But if you're just joining us, here's our race report. We've had 2 on-track incidences to bring out cautions. We had our stage break at the end of lap 35 that brought out our 3rd yellow of the day. And we are now getting reset. It's going to be coming up to 40 laps to go when we go green here. And the different strategies, a little bit more of a breakdown. Again, our top 5 are on older tires. Then John Forbes, Bronson Stafford, Zach Hall, Joshua Kanata, that is 6th through 9th, going to be taking 2 tires under this pit stop, as well as Trenton Jump. He's back in 12th. Rest of the field taking 4 tires and fuel for this stop. But there's your top 5 currently. Ryan Ferraro, also Ryan Kelly, Ollie Fonseca, Richard Wolsifer, and Cody Reed. Old tires. We'll see if they can hold out there. The one I'm most concerned about is Ryan Ferraro. He's on 17-lap old tires. 15 of those laps were under green flag conditions. And the other crew, they're going to be anywhere from 7 to 10-lap older tires than those that just pitted.
We are going to find out how those 15-lap tires are able to handle. I mean, Ryan Kelly's going to have a couple on them, but these drivers behind on 2 and 4, they're going to be coming fast. And we know drivers are not afraid to go 3, 4 wide, run it up to the wall, run it down to the middle, wherever you got to go to find speed. These drivers are going to be all over the place on these restarts, and maybe the best thing for the 34 machine is he's out front, so maybe if anything crazy happens, he's not going to get caught up in it. Might be his strategy play.
Also, driver of note, Nick Crawford, to start in 9th place, first driver with 4 tires. This thing really did shake up how this race could end here tonight. 41 laps to go as the pace car makes the hard left-hander to pit road into the restart zone. The incredible ISRC 150 here in Chicagoland is back underway. Top 5 drivers, old tires. The rest of the field, they took 2, they took 4, and it's now time to see who's winning race number 10 here tonight, or will we need a little bit more restarts to settle things out? John Forbes in the white machine goes all the way up to that outside wall, but everyone else scrubbing it further on back, and it's already a caution. Trouble for Dakota Moniz in the 5. We're resetting it. We need another restart here.
Wow, all that in 1 lap. Like you said, we have 40 laps to go, 80 turns, but now we're going to run a couple under caution. Now, Ryan Kelly, Ryan Ferraro, the 2 Ryans, they're going to flip-flop the position, though. Ryan Kelly now, he's going to have to lead and get to choose where he wants to restart. Ryan Ferraro going to be on the not the non-control car now, but we have to talk about that accident there. It's going to get crazy now. I was starting to think, I wonder if there'll be cautions after cautions, and maybe that's what the 34 was thinking. Just get me away from there.
It's going to be an awkward one here. On the restart is the 5. So he's going to be on the inside of that red and blue number 5 machine. He's going to have the 01 of Matthew Rodriguez on the outside groove, as well as the 70 of Aaron Smith behind. And it just looks kind of turned into a pinball machine. Was the 5 machine, as might have been some netcode contact there, then gets tapped by the 70, and then behind them, the blue machines get into one another as Drew Jua, driving frustrated, just absolutely demolishes the 98 of Ben Keeney, who for Drew Jua, when we went to commercial break, when he left pit road, had a black flag, so that caution did help out Drew Jua here, but we're right on board. Get a sense of what happened to him, and you know, it could have been a little bit of a sense of feeling like he got brake checked because of Ben Keeney slowing down. It looks like for Drew, he's trying to take off, trying to get by the wreck. Ben slows down. 2 different mindsets of how to get by a wreck, with the contact to the 77.
Yeah, you have to wonder if there's any optional repairs to see Ben Keeney trying to save that car right there. But Drew, I mean, he's probably going to go in and, yeah, look at that, getting some damage fixed. And These drivers still have a little bit of tires left. I mean, I know we didn't put anything on there, but being that far back, maybe he'll just bolt on another set and see if he has an extra one lap to try and drive up through the field.
Yeah, I mean, that's I think that's the only decision you really have at this moment is if you want to get tires on, you can, but there really wasn't a huge advantage. Didn't slide like we saw some of the other drivers. We'll see how this restart's going to reset the field. Still wait for those caution laps for the caution lights to click off of the pace car, which gives us time to shout out our amazing sponsor here tonight, and has been an amazing sponsor for the last few seasons. That is Trophy Smack. Trophy Smack's been a primary sponsor and trophy provider for the WSSR since Season 4. First couple of seasons joining on, it was championship rings that Vincent Sora and Larry Yingling found themselves grabbing. The last 2 seasons, it's been championship trophies being held by Benjamin Nelson. And if you're looking to get yourself pre-made custom trophies, belts, rings, or more, head on over to trophysmack.com today and remember to use the promo code WSSRSMACK for 10% off. Also, if you're wondering what a wall smack is, it's a metal plate that you can place on your wall with their magnet safe wall placing system, or you can get yourself with a stand to show off your incredible piece. Some drivers, I know once they get a win, they love to go to Trophy Smack, get their wall smack, and get themselves a image of their winning vehicle, and they would love if you could go on and show off your winning victory moment with a wall smack. Yeah, use the promo code WSSRSMACK, get yourself 10% off. And right now, we are currently being spammed. Somebody is taking over and spamming our chat. So we are so sorry about that. Discord is wanting you to hop on board as we don't know what's going on. We'll hope to fix that out. We've had our issues here tonight, Justin. We were having a little bit of internet issues early on with trying to make sure the buffering got away, and now having some tech issues of, you find fun gimmicky things of technology, and sometimes they like to infect and bring out chaos.
There's always that one person out there who wants to be his 5 minutes of fame, I'm assuming. But we're not going to let it ruin this race because we're expecting to have a good final 35 laps. That first stage was 35 laps, Sam. I mean, these drivers, they're in that window where they might be able to push extremely hard with the new tires, knowing that 35 laps is about what they felt in that first stage before they had issues. So anyone who felt comfortable pushing that whole time, they're going to be pushing this final 35 laps.
It could be the AI trying to take over. You got StreamBot trying to be as helpful and now attacking our chat. We are so sorry about the chat exploding. Best recommendation from us is just to turn the chat off if possible. Try to ignore it. And we are so sorry that we cannot contact or see you. We see you out there, Mason Cassidy. I can't wait to see you racing on Monday nights for the ISRC. But currently it is out of control and we don't have the ability to stop it for some reason. It is in its own mindset. But for us, we're going to reset, get prepared. We still got plenty of great racing action. We have ourselves 36 laps to go to see who's winning here for race number 10 at Chicagoland. And Ryan Ferraro, Ryan Kelly, they're ready for the restart. And already Ryan Kelly gets the better launch for the 3 machine. He'll cross the line first. And we'll see if that restart's going to hold. But Ryan Kelly will take the lead as he is gone for that 3. But who's got the fresher tires behind to watch out for? That's going to be the 11 of John Forbes. 2 tires on his last stop 8 laps ago. And he is flying on the inside.
Up the third ready. He could potentially be in second position coming out of this corner. Is he going to do it? I mean, he's right underneath Ryan Kelly almost, too. He's got tremendous speed. 2 tires on him, I believe you said, right, Sam? So that will be interesting to see if he's able to hold off the guy with 4 tires. That's Nick Crawford. That's the first one we know of on 4 tires.
4 tires is Nick Crawford. He's a few drivers back in 7th place. Up front, Ryan Kelly is holding steady for now, but you're seeing the little bobs and weaves. The driver trying to find openings to maybe slot their way forward. Currently, the driver that's stuck blinking is the 25 of Cody Reed. He's been quick, but he is stalling out on the outside. Another driver took 2 tires. That's going to be Zach Hall, who's getting some assistance from his Snowy Desert Racing teammate, and Nick Crawford getting by the chaos, and it is mounting up 5th on back. If we're going to see a caution, it most likely will be there, as up front it's still all John Forbes pulling away.
Well, these drivers, they are all over one another. And looking back at that picture, you see maybe in about 10th to 12th position, Larry Yingling kind of worked his way up a little bit there. Maybe he's starting to figure it out, but will he have time to get to the front? Brian Kelly, though, he fades back to second position. John Forbes Jr. able to get around him. Ollie Fonseca in third. Zach Hall on those 2 tires. He's up in fourth, but Nick Crawford on the 4 fresh ones. He's coming. Is he going to be able to run these drivers down? We're going to be 32 laps to go. It'll be quite a shootout to see what happens.
It is certainly turning into a shootout again. Those fresher tires can become critical later on in the run. But you can see Zach Hall trying to march on the inside, as well as Ollie Fonseca trying to find an opening. And further on back, you can see in the picture, it is still 2 by 2. We're keeping it together for now as we're inching closer and closer to 30 laps to go here tonight. And we saw that transition, Justin, where he was around that 20 to 30 laps into a run, or at least 20, 30 laps on these tires. That switch of drivers that were protecting their tires were able to march forward. Curious if we're going to see that switch happen here tonight, or is everyone at full bore? They've got to go now.
It'll be really interesting to see. I feel like these drivers are definitely pushing harder. The track's cooling down. Zach Hall is all under the 24 coming out of the corner, putting on some great racing. Trent Jump, he was one that we know was really, really fast on that. After that first stage, he drove down the outside line, drove up to second position. We know he's probably going to be really aggressive right now. They just don't have that many laps to go, so they feel like they could push, and then for those final 5 to 10 laps when the tires give up, they're going to try and fight as hard as they can and pitch the drivers down and try to pass them. Trent Jump going to go all the way up, though.
Nick Crawford trying to find his way forward in 4th place. John Forbes, Ollie Fonseca, your front 2. Zach Hall, once another historic miracle run, if possible, here tonight. Has been settling in the middle of the field and now has placed himself in a position to maybe have a miracle run. Took 2 tires, similar to John Forbes that runs for the lead, but Ollie Fonseca in the 24, he's trying to make his march for the front row, and that confidence, I talked to him at the start of the practice, asked how he was feeling about a win. The confidence wasn't there, but he's showing the skill out on track. The 24 makes contact though into the 11, forcing Forbes into the wall, gifting second out to Nick Crawford. They're going to be almost 3 wide, gets solidified in line, and Crawford now, with the small mistake, he'll now dive to the inside lane.
It all worked out for the 74 right there. He's got the tires advantage, and now he's got the track position. I mean, he's got the clean air pretty much. He's right alongside. As we see these drivers are just battling so hard, 2, 3 wide behind him. The 74 is going to drive it down. The 11 is going to try and get back to the outside quarter panel, but not able to do it. They're going to make contact here.
Almost settling into a contact once again. One driver, though, does get bounced into the grass. It's going to be Edward Shore Jr. after contact with himself in the 06, of Tom Bourne. We stay green as the 71 goes through the grass, but up front, it's still Nick Crawford. The next driver in line, though, that has 4 fresh tires underneath them, going to be Vincent Sora. He looms back in 9th place, now moves up to 8th. The 51 here, Justin, could be the driver to watch out for because he's running on the inside, protecting his tires, and he's waiting for the swing on when those tires, that he's going to have the advantage over everyone else in the field.
Who was that driver deep in that previous run who went from about 14th position up to 2nd really quick? It was like a matter of 10 laps, I felt like, before he was just in that 14th position we were talking about when he was racing with Zach Hall. He drove all the way up to 2nd and was passing Nick Crawford. But the problem is there going to be enough time for him to do it? We're talking 25 laps to go almost here. I mean, he's still got to pass a bunch of cars. He does have the tires, like you said, though, so it could help.
Do you see that red car behind, though? Behind Bronson Stafford? That's Larry Yingling. He's back in the top 15. He's been outside of the top 20 all race long. And oh, what a drift by Shane Terry, and what a save by the 9. He keeps it underneath them after a little bit of a mishap going into the corner of turn 1. But we're seeing drivers, they're trying to hold steady underneath them. More blinking from Tom Bourne, but I am shocked on the fact that Larry Yingling is still in the fight for a chance of a top 15 run.
Maybe the nighttime is the right time for the 67. Maybe he's got it figured out here. Been quiet the first 100-some laps, but now this last quarter of the race, trying to start making those moves forward. See if he can get in the top 10. That would be a great night for him after not running inside the top 15 much, if at all.
Almost stacked 4 wide off the exiting. Oh no, trouble! Striking for Richard Wolsifer and Bronson Stafford as they go into the grass. We stay green once again as the 56 can't get out of the grass for himself. Bronson Stafford slow on the apron, and just a small mistake, costly for both. As Richard Wolfsfer on those older tires, it just does not hold for himself. We move back up front for the drivers from 5th for 10th position. Douglas Newbegin, that's some contact with the 16 on the middle of the corner as they go into the middle, excuse me. But the 7 is on the charge, being followed by Larry Yingling. The top 10 get a little bit more mixy, but for the lead, John Forbes, Nick Crawford, they're not done with their battle either.
They are not. The track is cooling down, the speeds are picking up. Vincent Sora up to 5th position. He's the other driver in 4 tires that we are expecting maybe to get up there, so want to keep an eye on that. Nick Crawford pulling away up front. It's not necessarily, though. John Forbes is right there on him. I mean, there's just racing going on. The 2 tires, are they working better than the 4 tires right now? Maybe the way it changed the handling. Maybe it loosened the car up a little bit. These drivers
Trouble,
are saying,
though. Joshua Kanata strikes into an involvement wreck for the 16, and that was around the chaos that was mounting around that 10th place position. And finally, something gives, as it was 4-wide racing action. Another driver becomes a pinball as the 16 machine brings out a late caution, and somehow no one makes contact. But here's what brought out our most recent yellow.
in the middle, going to turn into a pinball, like you said, right there. Gets into the 67. That kind of changes his momentum up, coming out of the corner. Gets into the 67 again.
Away he goes. Somehow, Tom Sinchek finds space. Was right there, Ben Keeney. Woo! Able to dash his way to the inside, and then did not T-bone at 16. You see, he just drifts up. When you're the stacked 4 wide, it's so hard. One little tap, and right there, there's just nothing to do for Kanata except for lock the brakes and pray that he doesn't get hit.
And he did not get hit, so he will continue. He's definitely going to go in and get 4 tires, but that leads me to my next question. You know what it's going to be. Will anyone pit? It looks like there's guys coming in.
The question is, who isn't pitting? As everyone enters pit road. They were under 23 laps on that stint for these tires. A couple of drivers were in the 30s, and so this was a perfect time to enter pit road, and it's going to give us less than 20 lap run, which, Justin, this is the window of you just push and be aggressive. There is no waiting back for that transition point. It is take off and go.
Well, we saw the 11 use the 2 tires, and he was able to take the lead back. And right before that instant, we were talking maybe the 2 tires were freeing up the car a little bit. Drivers are saying it was tight, so maybe 2 tires will be the way to go. But the question is, can he do 2 again, having already taken 2? Sam, I mean, now you're putting a lot of pressure on those left side tires.
I'm looking through, and almost everyone's taking 2 tires. First driver to take 4 was Nick Crawford. He's mired all the way back in 10th place. Vincent Sora took 4. He's in 14th. And then 17th on back, everyone takes 4 tires. Majority of the field, it was a 2-tire call for this pit stop.
Wow, it looks like, did the 11 take 2 again? Is that what I'm seeing? I mean, he knew it worked for him, so he felt comfortable. Wanted to keep the balance of that car. He must like how maybe it was starting to change the way it was driving. It seemed like the car was driving really good. It was a little bit deeper into that run, like you said, 20 laps on there, and he felt like the handling was what he wanted.
I think the biggest shock, though, Richard Wolfsfer in the 56. He stayed out under our last caution, and he'll stay out for the second go-around. He is on a 32-lap stint. It's been around 22 laps of green flag racing under these tires. If we're going to have a concern, that might be the driver, because at this point, he's going to be almost a full second slower than what everyone else's laps are going to be on this restart. This could be calamity if drivers are not safe around one another.
And like you said, it could be big-time issues. Wheel spin will become a concern on older tires like that. Yes, they are hot and warmed up, but they are lacking the rubber on the tire to get the car going. The question will be, will drivers jump to his outside and put him 3 wide? Sometimes being on old tires stuck in the middle, that's the hardest thing. You have momentum, it gets hurt with the momentum not being able to come up to the wall, and then you got to also turn it and keep it off the car on the outside of you, and that's when you get someone underneath you who runs into you, and then before you know it, it could be a big incident. So it'll be scary on the restart for him on those old tires, but talented driver, I'm sure he knows what he's got to do.
He certainly does. Also want to say thank you to everyone who's been patient with the chaos that kind of happened in our chat. We think that we got it cleaned up. So if you like to chat and comment once again, the ability should be there now. So we're going to have to take a look at that after the broadcast on what possibly was the reason for that. But for tonight. It's going to be less than 20 laps to go. Again, Richard Wolsifer is going to be on about 34 lap older tires than everyone else on track. John Forbes in second place, all the way down to ninth. Took 2 tires for themselves. Then you have Nick Crawford that took 4 tires. Then from 11th to 12th, Chris Stitz-Jurjua, they took 2 tires. Vincent Soren 13th took 4. And then we also have Ken Campbell, Matthew Rodriguez, and Christopher Norris. They took 2 tires, and the rest of the field took 4 for themselves. So majority of the field took 2 tires under this pit stop. Justin, any thoughts before this could be the final restart, or it could be the start of calamity striking from here on out?
Well, 19 laps to go. We saw 2 tires work, but the problem is now people that did 2 tires are going to have even more laps on those tires. I think Nick Crawford has a good chance to drive back up through this field, but the problem will be if we get a couple cautions, you don't really have a chance to utilize those fresh tires under caution. So he might need this race to stay green for it to pay off for him, but we're going to find out really soon. Pace car is going to be pulling off. They're going to be hitting that line, and they're going to be up in 5th gear flying around this track really soon.
Here we go. It's green flag racing for the incredible ISRC 150 at Chicagoland. Less than 20 laps to go here tonight. And it's Richard Wolsifer, 30 lap older tires. He's got the track position, but does he have the tires to hold on? It looks to be the battle between John Forbes, also Douglas Newbigging. Who's going to have the better run? Newbigging doesn't get the speed he was hoping for. He'll stay in line with the 11 as they enter turn number 3. Cody Reed, who's been quick on the short run, tries to make the pass on the 56. Tom Bourne stalls out on the outside with Richard Wolsifer, but up front it is still John Forbes, Douglas Newbigging as they try to set up for a pass, but Richard Wolsifer, where does he go? They're 3 wide, almost 4 wide behind the 56. He'll stay low. He stalls out the inside lane. It's Tom Bourne. He'll hit the wall off the exit of the corner. They're squeezing, they're piling, but somehow they get around Richard Wolsifer, and we stay green as the 56 is stuck in the middle, heading backwards.
He is dropping like a rock. Those tires are not agreeing with this track right now. I mean, you almost have to just feel bad right now because the tires are so old. He tried to gamble. Unfortunately, he's driving his butt off right now, making sure he's not getting on anyone. He's doing a great job, Sam, on those old tires. I mean, that's really impressive for him. I couldn't even begin to think being on 30-lap old tires with these guys on fresh ones.
It certainly is looking like a frustrating moment for themselves. Up front, it is still John Forbes leading this race. Cody Reed was able to get by Douglas Newbigging, working the outside groove and trying to hold back the 7. Also, Tom Bourne getting into the mix. Justin, your pick is still in the fight, even with all the connection errors. But you can see the field fanning out. 16 laps to go. Gonna make it now 15 as the field continues to rage on. It's go time, and I don't know if anyone can really protect their tires. Also seeing the field 2x2, 3 wide, 15th on the back, but up front our top 4 are on top of one another. It's going to be a dogfight on who's going to win here tonight, because with Douglas Newbigging suspended for 2 races, a win could lock him into the playoffs. Even with all his struggles, Tom Bourne, who's had a lot of momentum fall-offs, he would love a win in 4th, but Cody Reed, he's been the driver that always, it feels like, when it's a critical moment for others, he steals a win late. It's been most of the time at Talladega. Could tonight be at a 1.5-mile course here at Chicagoland?
Going to give that 11 a little bit of push down the straightaway, try and give the 11 a little more speed. The 7 gets into the wall. That's going to hurt his momentum. Is the 06 of Tom Bourne going to be able to carry that momentum? But as I say that, the 7 just kind of drives off the wall after hitting it and turns right under the Cody Reed machine. He's going to try and take second place away. The 06 is going to choose to go way up to high, see if he can get around to 25. Then he's going to cut it low, see what he can do. I mean, there's racing everywhere to 25. You can see the sparks coming out of the corners. These drivers are driving fast. They're bottoming out right now. The speeds have picked up so much with the nighttime temperatures. We got 13 laps to go. They're flying by. Are those drivers on 4 tires going to be able to do it? Tom Bourne blinked out there for a second. Is he going to get back in time?
Yeah, Tom Bourne's back. It's been Tom Bourne, Cody Reed that have been the 2 that have been blinking up front. We'll see if they continue to keep their pace. The driver with the 4 tires, he just marched in position right behind the 75 that we right on board with Gavin Rogers. It's Nick Crawford in 8th place. He's watching the battling going on. Zach Hall's working on that outside groove, but Gavin Rogers, he finally places himself in a position where we really haven't talked about him a lot here tonight, but Rogers has been keeping his nose out of trouble. but he's got a lot of work here, coming up to 11 laps to go before this race is over. He's got to make a pass almost every other lap if he wants a chance to win here tonight.
Is he going to be able to do it? That's the hard part. Right now, these drivers are running all over the track. There's just nowhere for him to go, even with a little bit better tires. It's just not working out right now. As we see Tom Bourne, he's up to second. Sam, I picked him because I just knew he was at Dover. I remember he was just really, really good and aggressive on the restarts. Was jumping around, passing 5-10 cars beside at the beginning of this race. And right now, the way this race has worked out with the cautions at the end, he's getting the tires and he's utilizing those tires to his ability. And it's not going to matter with 10 laps to go. These tires, we're not going to go through that transition anymore. These drivers have what they have. They can push. They're not going to burn them up in 10 laps, I don't think.
10 laps to go, and our top 9 all within a second of one another. Actually, it's technically our top 10 are with a second of one another, and one of those willing to make a big move. Gavin Rogers throwing it down, trying to make a slide job move onto Zach Hall. He'll try to slice in front of the 32, but there's no space to do so. He'll have to stay down low, wait for an opening to make me go for a pass, but the bump drafting on the outside lane allows Douglas Newbegin to keep that positioning for themselves as the drivers up front. Still, it's John Forbes, Tom Bourne going to be your front 2, Cody Reed 3rd, and Gavin Rogers, Douglas Newbegin, Zach Hall going to be your rest of your top 6. And falling and waiting for a chance to fight forward, it's Nick Crawford, Drew Jua, and Vincent Sora. The 4 tires have entered the fray. That pass by Nick Crawford up to 6th. He needs to make a pass on almost every lap if he wants to win this race. Same for Vincent Sora that looms back in 9th position. If you're going to utilize these 4 fresh tires underneath you, you have to go now as John Forbes and Tom Bourne trying to figure out how do you want to set up this pass as the 06, or does he just settle for a 2nd place position?
He needs to figure that out because these guys on fresh tires, they're coming now. I mean, Nick Crawford got 2 cars on that previous lap. Like you said, Sam, he's got to pretty much get a car a lap here, but he got 2 that time. Did not get anyone in the previous lap going by now, but will he be able to get someone here? That's going to be the big thing. He's got the 4 tires. He's able to drive top, bottom, middle. He can go wherever he needs to go. The problem is that the drivers, they kind of fan out in front of him, so it kind of stalls him out a little bit there, but he was able to get 2 that one time, so if he could do it again, he could move into the side, inside the top 5, and he's going to have a chance at this. It's just going to be, will they run out of time?
Tom Bourne entered here tonight as a driver that's only gotten 1 top 5, only 1 top 10. He's had races where he wrecked out before even finishing a race, but hold on, let's reset. We got a wreck further on back as trouble strikes for Ken Campbell in the 15.
Oh no, Ken Campbell right at the end, 6 laps to go. Not good for him. But you said we're going to have ourselves a restart. These 2 drivers are going to be side by side. The 11 and the 06 going to be aggressive. Can't wait to see it. We're going to be about 3 laps to go on this restart.
It's going to be close. It might be inside of regulation, but also it kind of matters on how fast they catch up to the pace car. We might go into overtime at the timing of this caution flag coming out. As Ken Campbell, it's going to be the pressure here. Ollie Fonseca pushes up in the 13 of Cedric Hunter. And Ken Campbell, an innocent victim, caught up late.
We talked about it about a half hour ago. Ken Campbell just seems to get caught up in those accidents at the end. You have to feel for him. Had a good night going. He was quiet and calm. And unfortunately, just we're in the wrong spot at the wrong time.
And just for Ollie Fonseca, I don't know if he realized they were 3 wide because he moved up expecting Cedric to move high. And there was no space for that type of a move. That contact going to make a hard decision for the field. So we are 16 laps under these tires. And contact between those 3 machines and that wreck will now put the field in a questionable spot. Do you pit or do you stay out is going to be the question here tonight. Majority of the front runners deciding to stay out. The first to pit is Cedric Hunter, who is forced to pit road. Everyone else decides to stick with track position over tires. Justin, gutsy call by the field. Again, we are so close to this being inside the regulation green-white checkered. This will be just a 2-lap shootout whenever we go green again.
Yeah, as much as some of these drivers probably want the 4 fresh tires, just with 2 laps to go, by the time the tires get a heat in them, they'll be so cold they might not even have the advantage of someone who has 10 or 12 laps on there, just heated up at the optimal temperature. I mean, we're seeing right now John Forbes double stinting the left side tires. only changing rights on the previous 2 stops. The track has cooled off so much. The sun's gone. I think these drivers now are realizing that, yes, tires are important, but they want that track position. They want to be up front. They'd rather have the 2 tires than go in and get anything else done to the car.
I mean, right now, looking at this field, Justin, we got John Forbes. He's a driver that we've seen in other leagues that we cover here on Freaky Fast Broadcasting. Be a past champion on the ISRC Truck Series. Again, that starts back up this upcoming Monday. Tom Bourne, he's looking for a win in this series. He's never had a win. He's found a lot of bad luck. He's had some very close finishes at the end, but this could be a season-changing moment for himself. He enters 26th in points. If he wins and is inside the top 25 in points, this could push him into our top 16, fighting for a playoff position. And then you've got Cody Reed, who's 18th in points. He only has 1 top 10 this season. We got a lot of drivers, and also Douglas Newbegin, who just fell out of our top 16 because of his 2-race suspension. We've got 3 hungry drivers behind John Forbes. It looks pretty solidified when you look at point standings entering tonight. And then you've got Gavin Rogers, a 2-time winner. Nick Crawford, who's found himself in victory lane in the past. Zach Hall, who's won before. Drew Jua, who's had probably the biggest roller coaster of our top runners here tonight in the top 10. And in the 10th position, the 01 of Matthew Rodriguez, having his best run ever this season for the rookie. This is going to be a fun restart, but I know there's going to be a lot of upset drivers if this doesn't go their way.
Yeah, we have to definitely give the shout out to the 01 running in 10th position, Matt Rodriguez. He is just doing great, like you said, being a rookie. Seems to be getting better every week. Finishing races, most important. But I got to tell you, up front, like you said, these drivers, they are hungry. Those front positions, they want to win. We're not going to get the restart here till next time by, so we're going to have another lap to discuss all these outcomes. But like you said, we got drivers who won multiple races there in the 5th, 6th, 7th positions back there. Drew Jua, glad you brought it up. He had the penalty. Saved by the caution, didn't go a lap down. Had to start out back. Kind of got a little bit of damage there. We saw him on pit road repairing it. But then, utilizing the strategy to get back to the front. Can he salvage the top 10 tonight after having a penalty on pit road?
The storylines are mounting up, and guess what? We are officially in overtime, ladies and gentlemen. This is going to be our first attempt of 3 if needed. When we go green, it's going to be 2 laps to go. If we get a caution under our first lap, it will take us to attempt number 2. But if we get the white flag, the leader crosses the line on the white flag, this race becomes official. There will be no caution that will end this race, and it will be whoever crosses the start-finish line first. But again, if we get that yellow flag, sends us into second attempt, really could shake things up. The field is set. We got ourselves a total of 34 drivers on the lead lap. But our top 10, plenty of different storylines. Plenty would love a win if they could grab it. And our top 4, probably the biggest storylines of them all. That could be a season-changing win. As the pace car pulls off, our first attempt at overtime here tonight is underway for the incredible ISRC 150 here at Chicagoland. John Forbes gets the launch that he needed. Cody Reed going to be slotting ahead of Tom Bourne. Now, what's going to be your top 3 in line? Can Cody Reed find space to get by the 11 of John Forbes? And can we stay green to the end of this race?
Well, we're halfway through the back straightaway. They need to make it through these turns. But the problem is going to be for the 11 at 25. He got a nice run down the corner. He's going to shoot it to the outside line. He's going to have a big run coming here out of the corner for this final lap. But no, the 11 still gaps him. The 11's got to feel really good coming to the white flag.
White flag is in hand for your Freaky Fast white flag. This race is official. No more restarts. Cody Reed, if he's going to catch the 11, he needs a masterful run off the exit of turn 2. John Forbes, though, he's got the spacing. He looks clear. The battling for 3rd place is Tom Bourne as well as Gavin Rogers. But the 11 of John Forbes stays low, looks confident, looks in his mirror. That 25 is small and not closing. They're wrecking back for 5th. But Forbes takes the glory. He'll win for the incredible ISRC 150 here tonight.
Gavin Rogers going to go and get that 3rd position from Tom Bourne right at the end. Cody Reed ended up 2nd. What a finish. Drew Jua coming back in the 5th picked up a couple spots there at the end. Wow, but Douglas Newbing, he has to be the driver most frustrated on that restart, dropping back to 7th position, losing those valuable points that he needed.
And a crazy run all around by the field. What a surge, but it's John Forbes grabbing the win for himself here tonight for the 11 machine. I know he's been searching for that win here this season, and for Forbes, he'll take this win. It'll be his 2nd career win for the 11 machine in the WSSR, and what a time to grab it here late in the regular season. Congratulations to John Forbes, Cody Reed, and Gavin Rogers, your top 3. When we come back, we'll talk to our top 3 and a spotlight driver for our post-race show. We'll be back in just a few moments.
I'm back, and you get an early caution. You got to start thinking, are you going to go in, get some of that fuel, so maybe you could do a shorter stop later? We're not thinking tires are going to be the most important thing. I would think all drivers will definitely change them under the caution, but then I don't know. I don't know if people will be taking any, maybe just 2. I don't think people are going to want to sit there and take all 4, but I don't know. By the time you fill that fuel up, maybe they're going to get 2 or 4. It's definitely going to be all different kinds of strategy, but if you're starting in the back, you got to start running this race in reverse, trying to figure out how exactly you can get to that front.
Yeah, that's going to be a lot of thinking points after the stage is over. First stage again, going to be our first 20 laps. Top 10 drivers get bonus points. A lot of drivers want to make sure they're up front for that run. Majority of the drivers will be starting on the outside, but up front, it's Larry Yingling in the 67, Douglas Newbegin in the 7. Your Meals on Wheels 250 is underway as race number 6 has our front row roaring down into turn number 1.
And they're still just 2x2. We'll be seeing this a lot all night. You can see that going up through the gearboxes. You see some of the backfire coming through the 7 there, getting through the gears. But right now, these drivers probably just trying to get through these first 20 laps. They're going to stay 2x2. No one really out.
That's some huge damage you're dealing with, and big moves as well, as the first group of drivers are in line. And oh no, Danny Cochran, big bump slid up, and oh, huge wreck. Bad bump. We stay green. Second pack trying to drive by. And oh my goodness, once again, bad bump, more drivers in the grass. That's going to be Joshua Kanata. Behind him is also going to be Matt Meir and plenty of others with just a huge calamity. Everyone slows down. We stay green and still 6 laps to go in the stage. How many more wrecks are we going to see here tonight? Because Justin, this is insane what these bad bumps drivers are giving.
The 16 just out there in the grass the second time tonight. I mean, it's just crazy right there. That was just bad luck on his end, and wrong place, wrong time for the second time, gets forced down into the grass. You've got to feel for him. It just being in the wrong spot. These drivers are just making such aggressive moves. I mean, it seems like they're racing like there's 2 laps to go, and they have to understand there's still over 80 laps to go in this race of racing. You got to get to the end to be able to survive. I mean, look how this field is thinned out. You got about 7 drivers right now in the front pack, and then there's multiple small packs throughout the rest of the field.
And drivers that were caught up in that wreck that have required damage, Danny Cochran, Dakota
driving just because of that injured car, but doing a great job getting around that 06.
Yeah, and for the leaders, they've been dealing with a lot of sensation of, you know, the lap cars have been staying high, so they've been running and getting used to where they need to hit their marks and seeing Tom Bourne stay low, which lap cars have the ability to run a lane. That is their choice to make on if they're going to stay high or low. Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen, to the post-race show for race number 10 of the season at Chicagoland, the incredible ISRC 150. It almost felt like an ISRC driver had to win this, and a former champion of that series finds himself into victory lane for the 2nd career time in the WSSR. First this season. We've got the 11 of John Forbes with us. John, what a run for yourself here tonight. A little bit of strategy call, taking 2 tires on the last times you came into pit road. What is it like getting this victory here tonight?
This one feels real good. It's been a terrible season so far. Just no luck going our way, and I'm right on the cusp for the playoffs basically. And I wasn't telling anybody I was still gonna miss one more race before the end of the season, or before the playoffs start. So I was really looking for a good night here, and then like a solid night next week. I wasn't really thinking about the win. I mean, obviously that would have been awesome. But just coming out, I was like, all right, getting some stage points, like a top 5, we'll take it, and it'll almost kind of lock me in for the playoffs. But a win's the best way to do it, and that's what we came out and did tonight. I saw earlier in the race when I was running. I think it was when we had the green flag stop, or before that, after the stage, and Nick stayed out on 2. And I saw how well it worked out for him, and he went like 60 something laps the whole cycle before he really started falling off. Caught him at the end, but I figured that was going to be the play to do the rest of the race. And I think we got a caution with like 50 something to go. Like, all right, this is where we're gonna keep them left sides on, and yeah, that's what we did the rest of the race.
John, congrats on the win. It was awesome to see you drive up there. You mentioned that part of that stage where you started coming towards the front, and it was right around that transition of the sun going down and the track really cooling off. Did you notice the car just start driving different and better than everyone else? Because it seemed like that's where you really came to life also.
Yeah, I really didn't even think about it, but yeah, during the race, yeah, the day conditions they were kind of, I was kind of just running kind of mediocre, and then yeah, I mean, as soon as the sun started going down, I noticed Cody was even running good too, and I feel like it was, I don't know, it's so much different than the truck, but it just felt like it had a little bit more grip. It's a tight setup. I mean, usually these cars are really like a neutral feeling, but tonight with them being so tight, it really did kind of reciprocate kind of what the truck feels like in a way. And when the sun went down, I mean, it came to life, and yeah, I was able to kind of run that bottom, and I noticed a lot of guys couldn't get it down there, weren't really trying to save their tires down there. So as soon as I started being able to rip that in some clean air, I caught Nick real quick, and it was I knew he had a good shot from there, and that was going to be an awesome battle at the end. And that caution came out, we were like, oh, what's going to happen? We didn't know how many other people had 2 tires left for the right side, but luckily it worked out in our favor, and I was able to give Cody a great call out on that last jump, and I knew as soon as we left the restart zone that we were going to have a really good shot here, and Cody was going to do some great defense for me.
I mean, John, an incredible run for yourself overall here tonight. How much do you feel like this is going to carry forward into the rest of the season when you are showing up for those races?
Yeah, I think it's really gonna help. Like the next gen just kind of a new car to me, so I've been trying to figure it out real slowly. Kind of like the Gen 4 was. It took me about a season before I was able to kind of compete. And I wasn't really running up top consistently, like top 3, top 5 till like the end of last season. So it's gonna take a little more work with this car, but I'm sure we're gonna figure it out. And I mean, as you see tonight, we're kind of getting the idea. So we're trying to be a threat here in the playoffs.
You certainly did prove that you are going to be a threat to watch out for. Congratulations on this win, John. And before we let you go, the floor is now yours for any more shout-outs.
Yeah, it's gotta thank JDA Performance Mods, eFlex Fuel, Strike On, putting the schemes together. Want to thank Cody for giving some great defense there at the end. All of our team here, unfortunately, our other 2 teammates got caught in some wrecks tonight, but yeah, always a great fuel call outs from Kanata. So yeah, just thanks to everybody and you guys for putting these on every week. So we'll go on to next week.
Well, that will be your winner here tonight for the incredible ISRC 150 at Chicagoland. John Forbes in the 11. Congratulations, John, on this win, and good luck in these future races.
Thank you guys. Have a good night.
You too. As we move from victory lane, we go down to second place to a driver that at one moment thought maybe he was going to fight for the win in defensive mode, and held back the rest of the field. We got the 25 of Cody Reed. Cody, it's your best finish of the season, and what it's time to finally rip off a great run for yourself. How are you feeling after that type of performance here this evening?
I have never been happier to finish second in a race, Sam. I wish that Drew Juo would have stayed wrecked, because it would have been such a great points day had he not come up back to 5th. But props to him. He had a really up and down day. But I think that playoff bubble was a little bit tighter. You know, I was like 32nd a few weeks ago. Now we're probably 17th now. So that's pretty exciting. I'm really happy for John. He helped me get a jump on that. Well, not really a jump, but a good start there at the end to get past Tom Bourne. And you know, he was way faster than me. I wasn't gonna compete, so I went into defense mode. But they weren't really close to me until like coming out of 4 on the last lap. I'm really happy about it. Also, I just want to point out the waiting room has turned into the boxing ring. The 71 went in there and there's some beef in there right now with Tom Bourne, so that became really awkward for me. I just wanted to point that out. So,
Cody, thanks for bringing that fun stuff to our attention up there. Maybe it's something we'll be able to enlighten on later. But let's talk more about your race tonight. I asked this question to John. I'm going to ask it to you too. I felt like your car also kind of came to life during that big transition when the sun was going down and the track started cooling off, and like you were just moving forward. And was like that how you felt too? Like, did you feel like this car and your driving style just really came to life at nighttime?
no, I mean, I guess so. I normally hate this car, but I don't know. A lot of people were complaining about the setup today. I actually really liked the setup. I think that might have been part of it. I know earlier on in the race, I was actually really quick. I qualified terribly, but went from like 32nd to like up to 14th, I think, in the first run.
Yeah.
But then I started falling off, fell back to like 18th, but still had better tires than like my teammates in the voice chat. I don't know how I managed to do that. Um, but then later on, I was actually pretty quick. I was up like battling, like I think I was up to 8th. And then I absolutely fumbled the bag during green flag pit stops. That was like the most embarrassing thing that's ever happened to me. I pulled into my pit stall too far forward, backed her up too far left, went back forward again, backed her up too far left. Did that like 3 times over, I kid you not. I was there for probably 20 seconds. I went from 8th to dead last on the lead lap. I somehow stayed on the lead lap. I was like 3 seconds ahead of the leader when coming out of my box. And then staying out when that caution came out was like the best decision I've ever made. Because I mean, it was only a few laps. I'm surprised not like any other people did that. I was able to hang on pretty well. Then took 2 tires with John. I felt like that again was the pretty obvious move there. I mean, we saw how good 2 tires were like earlier on in the race. I don't know. I 1-2 finish for COD Monster Motorsports after like kind of a really up and down season. So I'm really happy with the whole team today. I'm pretty happy with it.
I mean, Cody, amazing day for the team. Before we let you go, though, the floor is now yours for any more shoutouts.
Yeah, I props to my team. We did great today. Sucks Anthony got in a big wreck like lap 2 or whatever it was. That's pretty unfortunate. I would like to give props to you guys for putting on a great show. Definitely gonna rewatch the broadcast in the morning. And props to my dad. He was watching the race. He was really hyped that I finished second. Yeah, and then props to the viewer like you watching this broadcast right now. You're great. I love you. And that's it.
Well, that'll be your second place finisher here tonight in the 25 machine of Cody Reed. Congratulations on this run, Cody, and good luck next week as we head to Le Mans.
Yeah, thank you.
As we move from second place, we go down to third. Talk to a driver that kind of was under the radar for most of the night, but still comes away with third place finish. We have Gavin Rogers with us. Gavin, it's Sam and Justin up in the booth. You certainly kept your nose out of trouble, it seemed like, for most of the night. No, a couple of drivers were getting into one another, but how are you feeling after coming away with a top 3 with a tough track that we had here tonight?
I feel good. I'm kind of shocked, to be honest, Sam, but yeah, I didn't keep my nose the cleanest all night for sure. I definitely had a couple run-ins. Seemed like everyone kind of did, to be honest, but this track was just nuts with the cooler track, which is what we're all not really used to this season. Especially that Chicagoland track that I feel like a lot of people don't really race at too much, so they're all kind of learning it as it goes. But to be honest, it was still a good race to me, at least in my opinion. I usually don't enjoy tracks where it's tight like that, but tonight I enjoyed it with these guys. I always have fun with these guys. I'm really glad I joined this league. Appreciate the admins for letting me in, and yeah, just obviously a good race.
Gavin, third place finish, definitely a good night for you. It seemed like it was one of those nights where anytime when we started thinking about talking to you about you, it seemed like you were making that move forward and something would always happen. Like you get stuck behind a car and weren't able to make the passes. Just talk to us about being able to pass people. Like, was it frustrating just when you would know you were faster than someone, and if you were running the outside line, there would be a car in front of you, so maybe slower running the outside line, and the inside car was then blocking that line, and you kind of just get stuck at a point, it would seem.
Yeah, you definitely get stuck a lot during the race, which is why I kind of tried to back up and to save my tires for that final stage, the start of the final stage run. And I guess I backed up too much, and about the middle of that run, I started thinking I got to start pushing, and then I pushed too much, and then Vincent, Zach, I think, and a couple other guys got by me, and I couldn't really figure out what to do, when to do, and it was a struggle all night. But fortunately, with all those cautions, a lot of mix up in the strategy, I got the luck from the racing gods tonight, and got a P3.
Well, Gavin, we're going to a track that we'll talk about road course racing. You're kind of one of the specialists of this league. How are you feeling about heading to Le Mans? And have you had any experience there running a stock car on that type of a course?
Not at all. I really wish I put some time into it, to be honest, because it is a very big track, probably the biggest track this league has ever raced. And yeah, I'm looking forward to it. I always like learning new tracks. Daytona Road was a new one for me, and I did okay there. I just need to put a little bit more practice in, and hopefully I can get another one.
Well, we're excited to see how you're going to perform, Gavin. And before we let you go here tonight, the floor is now yours for any more shout-outs.
Yeah, I want to shout out the sponsors on the car tonight: Sunance Pizza, Butt Kicker, just printed pieces. Also want to shout out my buddies, Alliance and teammate Jared, and shout out to Carl and Richard. I know Jared wasn't here tonight. He set up a new rig, which is pretty neat. Can't wait to see how that turns out. And also shout out you guys for doing great broadcasts as usual.
Well, thanks for giving us a great show to cover. That will be your third place finisher in the 75 machine of Gavin Rogers. Congratulations on this run, Gavin, and good luck next week at Le Mans.
Thanks, guys.
As we move from third place, our spotlight driver not too far behind. It's going to be fourth place runner in the 06 of Tom Bourne from Sky Motorsports. Tom, it's Sam and Justin up in the booth. Congratulations on a top 5 finish. I know you've needed a good run after the bad luck you've had the last couple of weeks, but man, how are you feeling after the run you had here tonight?
I definitely feel like I backed into one. We had the speed. We just got mired back in traffic a lot. And it was so hard to pass here. The setup was great, in my opinion. I know people have had their doubts about it and whatnot, but I definitely think it was one of the better setups this season. Just thankfully, we made the right pit calls this week and didn't get involved in anything. I know some wrecks happened around me, not at my doing, but it was nice to actually put together a good race and actually get the result that we felt we had the speed for.
Congrats on the fourth place finish. If you go back and watch the race, you're going to see I had you picked tonight as the driver to watch for. I just feel like I think on these restarts, you always seem to have really good aggression and move forward and take all the spots. And I was thinking, if we get a couple of these late race restarts, you're going to be one to watch out for. And then in the beginning of this race, you had that outside line going. I mean, you definitely are one of those drivers that are able to find grip where others can't, and that's why I've rolled with you tonight. Just talk to us about how you were up there running that third lane, where you found the speed that other drivers weren't, that you were able to make so many moves there.
So one of the things I found in practice is on the high line in 3 and 4, there's a bump, a big one that kind of sets your car a little sideways. I was able to keep in the throttle really and make that line work because I ended up driving it off the right rear for the second half of the corner. And honestly, with this car, it's just you got to go where there's clean air. Nobody was running the outside for the first part of the race, and I'm like, okay, well, I'm going to give it a shot. Why not? And thankfully it worked. I know definitely I made some aggressive moves in the middle and up top. I really tried to stay off the bottom because it was just going to be, if you got down there at the wrong time, you were going to get freight trained. And this car is so track position based that I knew I had to get track position and somehow keep it.
I mean, Tom, it certainly looked like you found yourself in positions there late, and like I said, it kind of backed into a great finish here tonight. We got 2 more races left in the regular season, Le Mans and Bristol. It seems like playoffs, if you're going to make it, it's going to have to be a win. What's your confidence level in maybe grabbing a win here in these next 2 races?
Honestly, with the talent level in this league, it's really hard to stay focused and feel confident because you might you might feel confident, and then you'll end up 20th on the board in qualifying or practice, and you're like, wow, okay, that's humbling. Le Mans, I'm not looking forward to at all. I really got to put in some time and effort into that and try and figure that out. Bristol, it's anybody's game. One wreck can take out 3/4 of the field. So I feel like I have a good shot to finish well at Bristol. Then again, every time I say I have a good shot, I'm gonna finish somewhere, I get wrecked. So I don't know. Other than that, like it's really just kind of building. I genuinely don't think I'm going to make the playoffs. I definitely think I don't deserve to be in the playoffs with my runs this year. So it's kind of just like building on finishes and trying to just get a win. And I feel like we really found something tonight, and hopefully we can build off that.
Hoping that it continues on as well for yourself, Tom. And before we let you go, the floor is now yours for any more shout-outs.
Yeah. First off, want to thank you guys always for putting on a great broadcast. Reaper Apparel Company being on the car, Ghost Energy. Geez, I haven't done one of these in a while. I don't remember my sponsors. Player One Coffee, Fire News. The league admins always putting on great races for us to compete in. My wonderful fiance Melissa, she's always watching, and she's just awesome. Sky Motorsports putting together a fast car. All 3 cars were fast tonight. It was just Bronson and Shane got some bad luck towards the end, and I ended up capitalizing off it. And yeah, just another shout out to you guys for putting on great broadcast week in and week out, and everybody watching. They let us do this.
Well, Tom, it was an incredible run for yourself. Top 5 finish, your second best finish of the season. Congratulations on that, and good luck at Le Mans next week.
Thanks, guys.
As we move away from our interviews, certainly was a wild night of ups and downs. I don't think that this was really a night that we could have expected where some of these drivers were going to finish, because the unofficial results kind of got flipped upside down. We had the long green flag run. We just finished out the pit cycle. Then the caution that changed everything for drivers taking the opportunities to take 2 tires on track positions. Others deciding to go with maybe more rubber. And ultimately, it was the track position that won out with a little bit of help of taking 2 tires. John Forbes said 2 tires was all I needed for those last 2 stops, and he made it work for the 11 machine. Cody Reed, his teammate, will fall in second, as the COD Monster team really had a great showing here tonight. Kevin Rogers will fall in third, with Tom Bourne fourth. Drew Jua talked about the fact that he had the biggest roller coaster of a night. Had a black flag, got caught up in a wreck late, but still gets a top 5 finish for our cutoff driver entering tonight. What a run for himself. 6th is Zach Hall, who had his own great recovery run. And then in 7th is Douglas Newbigging. Christopher Norris 8th. 9th is Vincent Sora. And finishing up the top 10 is the 9 machine of Shane Terrian. And as we look at the rest of the results, I think the biggest thing that points out, 01, Matthew Rodriguez here, Justin. I cannot believe he finished there, but the rest of the drivers and where they finished, quite bizarre as well.
Yeah, we talked about Brian Kelly in the beginning of the race. Matthew Rodriguez finished in 12th. But how about Aaron Smith, 14th? I mean, really quiet night from him. He was running back in the back of the pack, chose to stay out, lead that lap at one point. Ended up 14th, so had a nice salvageable night. About Ryan Ferraro coming home in 16th. He was one of those drivers that stayed out on the old tires, was able to hang in there, get himself a nice 16th place finish. But Larry Yingling, we saw him make the move. We thought he was going to play that joke on us where he was going to end up inside the top 10, and ended up fading back to 20th. Trenton jumped 21st. Dakota Maniz 22nd. Bronson Stafford, we talked to him, the stage 1 winner. Not able to get the night that he wanted after, but he did get those points, so that's important. You just see as we rolled through this field, we talked about it. Ken Campbell ended up having that finish at the end where he kind of got caught up in the accident. Cedric Hunter, 33rd. Hate to see that. Brian McCann, he stayed in there all night, Sam. Came home 35th, trying to get as many points as he could.
Salvage everything you can, even if you show up late. And it was 14 laps down, but able to grab a couple of positions with drivers exiting out of this race with too much damage. A wild night overall. And I want to say thank you to everyone that kind of stuck with us. I know we had some technical issues, buffering at the start, and our chat had its mind of its own for a bit there, but ultimately at the end had a fabulous finish. We've seen John Forbes take the victory as we take a look at our future of what the weeks are going to be looking like. We have now found a new home for Tuesday nights, but up first we have to head to Monday night. It's the ISRC Truck Series, as we will have our first race of Season 7 as we head to Daytona this upcoming Monday. Then in a few weeks, we'll be having the Challenger Racing League on Tuesdays on the Next Gens. A couple of familiar faces if you watched Freaky Fast in the past. Going to be seeing a lot of drivers that I know Robert knows well, and a few of the past Freaky Fast guys, and a few of the drivers that raced here tonight expect to be racing on Tuesday nights. Then our home on Wednesdays, we're inching closer and closer to the playoffs. We're 2 races away now after tonight on the WSSR. And then on Thursday night, we're a few weeks away from the charity race that will be the off-season opener for the Doghouse Cup Series. Back to 4 races a week by the end of the month, and I am so excited to be back to 4 days a week in a row of great racing action. Justin, I know for viewers, it kind of is weird when we only have 1 race a week, and also weird for us to only have 1 race a week to broadcast.
We're about to have plenty of races to broadcast, as it seems like that schedule is going to be getting busy soon. I'm hoping to personally be out there in that Challenger Series on Tuesday night, so hopefully we'll bring over some viewers and get to see me driving versus calling the race.
I cannot wait for it. But tonight, I want to say thank you to everyone that joined with us. It certainly was a chaotic night for the drivers. And for us, get a deep breath, get ready. Monday night is going to be a fun one. But for the WSSR Cup Series, congratulations on your newest winner this season. It's the 11 of John Forbes Jr. taking the victory for the incredible ISRC 150. If you want to see more racing action for the WSSR Cup Series, we will see you next week. We head to France, to Le Mans, to see who will handle the 15 laps on a mammoth of a track that these drivers are going to have long straights, ramping up to almost 200 miles per hour, and twists and turns throughout all the course. Cannot wait for it. But if you can't wait for more racing action next Wednesday, we'll see you on Monday as we head to Daytona to start a brand new series for the ISRC Larry R Productions Truck Series. It's going to be a fun one. You don't want to miss it, as that will be our next Freaky Fast broadcast.